It's a fire in love. It's a fire in love. It's a fire in love.
opponent.
Powered by the highest performance game engine on mobile, leveraging years of experience building the largest international competitive mobile esport, harnessing extraordinary community anticipation. This February, Super Evil Megacorp will unleash the category-defining 5v5 battle arena for mobile. The first and only true 5v5 MOBA on the mobile platform, featuring graphics that put the copycats to shame, rendered at a smooth, flawless 120 frames per second. A simple-to-start, highly accessible experience that matches or outperforms PC and console counterparts in every way, with ultra-precise, intuitive touch controls that make a MOBA feel like magic. Nothing diluted, nothing dumbed down, delivering through original and creative hero design, level design, item design, and objective design, the immense depth, skill, and complexity that a legitimate 5v5 MOBA should offer. Outplay and outthink your opponent like no other game. Superior gameplay and graphics, the most accurate and responsive controls, deep, original fantasy storytelling, and unparalleled technical excellence with the platform-leading proprietary game engine and the highest frame rates. Super Evil Megacorp's Vainglory 5v5 sets the new bar for mobile gaming. Never settle for the lesser evil.
Hello ladies and gents, boys and girls, and welcome to the Vainglory 5 vs 5 show match. My name is Minimiter, and as you can see, joining me, I've got I Requested Jill.
Hello, and first time on camera. Hopefully it's looking crisp, looking nice.
That is hopefully all good, and so we've got some lovely show matches for today. We've got a schedule of 2 series, each of them are going to be best of 2. So I Requested Jill, do you want to run through what the games are going to be today?
Yes, the first match that we will have up is going to be Renegades going up against VAE Victis, who previously, I believe, acquired from 501st Legion most of their members. And then we'll have the second matchup of the day being Impunity going up against Boom Esports. Both matches going to be a best of 2 as well.
Yeah, so as opposed to being best of 3 where you don't know how long the games are each game's going to be best of 2, so if it finishes at 1-1, we're just going to stop there and it'll be a draw between the 2 teams, similar to what happened at Worlds. But thinking about this first game, it is Renegades. Obviously, they're going to be the favourites because they played so fantastically at Worlds. But it's going to be interesting how the team that were in the Challenger Series, how they can come through and if they can try and challenge Renegades and make it a good game.
Yeah, I believe that either way, we'll be seeing a good game with 5v5 on the table. There's really a lot more. I think a lot of the teams, whether they were from Challengers or from the Pro Series, it's moving into a different type of game in a way that we're going into different strategies where a lot of the teams will have to adapt to the new meta. And obviously, the new game style of a lot of rotational focus and map awareness is needed. And you could say team synergy is that much more crucial when going into these team fights.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you're playing a 5 versus 5 and all 5 of you are on voice and none of the enemy are on voice, you're probably going to win that game even if they're a lot better than you, because being able to rotate, having a 3 versus 2, 2 versus 1 means you're going to win 9 times out of 10 even if you're a weak mechanically player, and you can just win the fight and win the game just because you know how to rotate better together. I think that we're going to see a lot of skipping jungle camps and junglers going up to lane to try and gank, or going into the enemy jungle and try and steal their buffs away, because obviously with 5 versus 5 out to people with golden tickets, I've certainly been seeing a lot of people just kind of leaving their jungle, and whoever gets it at the right time, but it just stays there while the junglers just try and gank in the lanes.
Yeah, ganking, invading, all very important. I feel that really comes down to having your lanes managed correctly. A lot of the time we'll see a lot of split push tactics where it might look like the action's going down at one point of the map, but you'll see either 1 or 2 members decide to take advantage of that to actually go up and sneak away a turret from the enemy, which if they're not careful, that's eventually what wins out these games.
Yeah, one of the really important things to note is when a team fight breaks out, let's say it's a 4 versus 4 with 1 player dead on one side, then you have to think, okay, where is this fight happening? Because if it's happening around 10 minutes into the game on the opposite side of the map to Ghost Wing, then it's kind of a pointless team fight if the waves aren't in the right place. Even if you get 3 or 4 kills in that team fight, if you don't have the waves to push turrets, you then have to run back to you have to even port home to your base, clear the waves, try and push down some turrets, and you're on the opposite side of the map to Blackclaw. So it might be better off, instead of taking that fight, you just have one of your teammates just split push a lane, and in the end, even if you lose the fight, you're going to get a lot more gold for taking down that turret.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what tactics these teams apply and also what draft they go through, because at the moment 5v5 still in development in terms of balances, and you can see that really the devs are trying to play around with a lot of movement speed things, trying to influence the players to, I guess, go and roam more often, which is a good thing. You're trying to encourage team fights going on in the map and a bit more action, especially when it's that much more to traverse. Sometimes you can feel a bit lost in 5v5, especially if you're the jungler. You might be standing around, as you said, none of your camps could be up and you're just wondering, what can I do next? So I think movement speed boosts and such to get into fights going to be a key part. And with that, I think we might see heroes that are good at ganking, such as Rona has been very strong in the 5v5 meta, Koshka, Alpha, a lot of AoE heroes as well, the heroes that have AoE abilities. And with that, we do actually have the heroes on board right now as we're loading into the Halcyon Fold.
We are not loading into the Halcyon Fold, we are loading into Sovereign's Rise for the 5 versus 5 game. I knew someone would be making sure it wouldn't be me today.
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, though, that junglers often feel just completely lost. I hate jungling 5v5. I want to be playing bot lane where I know what I can be doing. Just split push down the lane with Jewel and it's nice and easy. But yeah, jungling I think is a lot harder. I'm looking forward to seeing how these professional junglers are going to cope with it, whether they're going to be aggressive, as I'm expecting, or if they're going to try and know the spawn timers and try and work around that with either invading or being defensive. But we are now loading into Sovereign's Rise for the first show match, and so joining me to cast this game, I'm going to bring in Azurai.
Yo, so excited to, start this match off. We're going to be seeing another Rona come into play, which we've seen like last week when we started casting the show match games. Just destroy turrets, by herself. So that's where you were when you and Irika Sejewel were talking about the split push tactics. I think Rona is one of the ones that actually have pretty strong solo split push potential.
Yeah, there's going to be a fight going on around the weapon treant of A side. All members of are going to be there, and it looks like it's just all about the vision in that bush. Both teams are focusing really hard on that. Chain's going to land out, and we'll now see all 5 members of VAE Victis rotating towards this crystal treant, trying to steal it away, and they are going to get it.
That might leave at least some of the other treants for the side of VAE Victis here a little bit vulnerable, but it seems like Renegades not going to be looking or focusing on that one. They just took their own jungle, and what do you think is like the reason why they actually committed this 5-man squad on that crystal treant?
Well, they didn't have any vision in the bottom side of their jungle. Looking down towards it, Sniper Life is now going to notice that Shingi is taking the healing treant, but not going to do anything about it, just go towards Tezaboy. And he actually left the crystal treant alone. So the whole idea of that was assume that Renegades are going to be defensive and try and counter it with aggression to take away a buff camp. And it did look like it's going to work. Shingi, lovely afterburn.
Yeah, Cassandra here. Oh, no, never mind. It's gonna be Chingy to go down. Alright, Chingy to get the kill onto the Reza. I was actually seeing the Baron take the treant.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of weird. They actually lost a couple of his own wave, but never mind. It's gonna be the first blood in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it's a slight gold lead for A side. I think that we're seeing a duo top lane from both teams. I'm not expecting this to stay the meta for the whole game, because generally if you have a captain just staying in the top lane, as in the bottom lane, Sniper Life manages to secure the kill onto Glaive. As I was saying, I think if you have just a captain constantly staying in one lane, you're missing out on so much ambient gold, so much pressure that can be applied.
Oh, Unido might be in a bad trouble. Look at that rocket jump coming in, or jump jets rather, from Cassandra, and he even gets a fadeaway shot onto the tackle. What is happening here?
In the top lane as well.
Top lane as well, and that's gonna be the Rona 2 go down. Imagine did take quite a bit of damage. It might open up possibilities for SNK and Spaghetti to go to get the drop on him, but going back to the mid, Shingy actually was able to go for another rotation here, help Uni get the finalizing blow on the Baron. So even though this is like a very bigger map than the Halcyon Fold, there's just kills happening all over.
Yeah, you would expect that, given this is 3 lanes as compared to 1, you think, okay, maybe there'll be a lot of time when people are farming as opposed to fighting. Tezaboy completely disagrees with you. He's just going to go in on this Reza. He's already 2 levels ahead early game. This is really tough for Reza to be able to actually get any last hits.
Yeah, I think it's also the reason, like Sniper, with that 5-man rotation from VAE Victis, kind of like left the Black Feather just to keep solo farming in the bottom lane, and then the rotation from the Glaive just made it even worse for him, and that was just too bad. Taka though, look at this one, gonna be next man to actually get the crystal tree, and like a smooth criminal, he gets away without anybody from Renegades actually thinking otherwise. SNK rotating to the top lane, goes aggressive, might pincer down onto exclusion right here, activates. Oh, never mind, this gonna use the flare And Spaghetti, I thought he was gonna drifting dark and try to chase him down, but he's gonna at least play a bit more safe here. Maybe just, you know, get some farm in the wave. Oh, look at that dive coming in from the Rona. Really gotta be careful here. Uses the stun, but only connects onto the Taka, but it might have been enough. The shield comes out. Will they pursue? Looks like that's gonna be a no, but still, damage falls through. Bottom lane wise, never mind.
Yep, not much is happening. Shingy was rotating down to try and get a kill, but Chingy's a bit low, so just going to try and sneak away a Crystal Treant. We are definitely seeing junglers being aggressive, taking away the enemy Crystal Treant. Taka did exactly the same thing. Exclusion was taking away Shingy's Crystal Treant, and that glaive is very low. But he dives turret anyway, just does not care. He gets the kill onto Baron. Nice plays from Renegades.
Yeah, this isn't, you know, glaive is not scared glaive. This is glaive brave.
Definitely a brave glaive, yes, I agree.
Exactly. And then Chingy, ooh, smashes into the face of Taka. Look at that spicy footwork coming in from him. Goes with afterburn onto Majin, and Majin is gonna be out of position, trying to run away, activates the boots. Healing Train will try to help him a little bit as they activate him. Will not connect onto the root. Can he go for another one? Maybe an afterburn coming in from Chingy would suffice to get that last shot. Ooh. Close to the stun though, but not enough. But still, that did open up.
Look at that turret.
Bit more steals, and turret in the bottom lane taking quite a bit of damage into the top. It's very low as well. Chingy, one smash, gets it. SNK, ooh, right out of the hook. And even though they want to go for the pursuit, there's just too much zoning potential from this Samuel of Spaghetti.
Yeah, and Shingy's going to go over the wall just to try and get Taka away from him, but could be close. I feel really bad for whoever is the man in this game. It's impossible to keep up with everything that's going on. Exclusion's trying to 1 versus 2 on this Taka. He gets the healing tree in. No, not quite. Not quite the 1v2. Spaghetti's Samuel's a little bit too strong. But amongst all of that, we saw a top lane turret go to Renegades and a bot lane turret go to Renegades. So that slight advantage that they had is now a 4k gold lead, because turrets are 150 gold for each member. There were 5 members of your team. That's a really significant gold payout just for taking the turrets down.
Yeah, I can really see how much, I would say, knowledge Renegades has on this 5v5 map. It feels like they know more than VAE Victis. Like their rotations feel more confident. Like you see VAE Victis, they kind of just send the Taka to be that one person to actually make the plays, but here it's like everybody. Like you see the glaive everywhere, yes, but then the Grace would actually go to maybe help out the glaive here, maybe even to the mid. And this is just, I think, like what, you know, 5v5 could be once it, you know, starts to be played by more and more players.
Yeah, Renegades have had 5v5 for so long, and now 3 versus 2 in top lane. Spaghetti or SNK could be in trouble unless they manage to get damage like that.
Yeah, man, look at that Grace just absorb all that damage, and Spaghetti from downtown just taking out the Malice and Verdict, but not action will actually happen in the mid as Sniper Lifey is actually going to try to go aggressive. Level 6 already here, so he does have the ultimate to be able to skadoodle his way on out of there, but the silence. What happened to the glaive? That was kind of weird, but never mind. Hero kill. Still taken by Spaghetti in the top lane. Might have been the over-aggressive Taka here looking at SNK. Deity Stars looking for that opening, but these two are bruisers, man. They can actually duel even with low HP and still come out on top. SNK with the might of 10 swords going in aggressive. Majin solo! He's going to be able to get away. Spaghetti, he's looking for the angle, but it's not going to be enough. And he escapes with his life, a very sliver of it. Spaghetti, one more shot. Deity Star smashes it and gets the last man. Could actually go for a second. Can he go for the lead? Ah, never mind.
Yep, Deity Star's doing really well against Spaghetti Samuel. Spaghetti was looking like a real menace on this killable, but he's now 4-1, has died. So I think Samuel's a really strong hero just in general in 5v5, and meanwhile no one was looking at bot lane, and Tezaboy is just pressuring Sniper Life so heavily. This is why I don't think duo top lane is the answer for VAE Victis. And wow, Tezaboy just doesn't get. He's going to go in 1 versus 3.
3v1, what does it take to take down this Black Feather? Oh, there's the hook coming from the... They're gonna try to at least slow him down with the Porcupine mortar here. But still, look at how much Tezaboy has put pressure onto himself. 4 people from VAE Victis.
Waste of time.
But, I mean, they already lost, I think, mid from that one. And this is going to be Chingy actually going in aggressive here. Does have the help from Uni, but this is a 2v4 situation with not too much tanks happening. Look at the damage though coming from Chingy. Be quiet, uses the ultimate right there, and could actually deal some damage here. He's trying to go in aggressive. Porcupine Mortar though will stop him in his tracks, and that was a little bit too aggressive. 2-for-2 exchange though, and I don't think they're going to be going onto the Ghost Wing, but top lane wise, it's going to be SNK and Spaghetti.
Yeah, pushing down towards top lane, and this is something that is so hard for teams to realise moving from 3v3 to 5v5, is that yes, VAE Victis, you won the team fight, you got a 4 versus 1 against Blackfeather, but it was all just a waste of time, because Glade pushed down the mid lane, and Spaghetti managed to push top lane. He didn't get a turret, but did get the wave in their favour, so VAE Victis got absolutely nothing for winning that team fight, and it's so hard to get out of that mentality of trying to win fights. You have to make sure that you're not over committing for these fights, because 3 versus 1 they're going to kill the Blackfeather eventually. Taka was not needed to come down as well, so it's really tough to say, no Taka, we've got this, go try and defend mid lane so that Shingy doesn't get it for free. Speaking of Shingy, he get caught out a little bit.
Porcupine Mortar connecting. Oh my goodness, look at how low his HP is, and he still survives. And they're going to be looking to actually aggress onto Uni. One more. Get it. The Porcupine Mortars are not enough to actually go through or even connect, as that afterburn just gives so much mobility for this Glaive. Now SNK joins in onto the fight, and Majin might be no more. Though actually going through the meat grinder, but still gets a double kill. Gonna get a triple and he gets it. What the hell is happening here for Renegades? They're just showing up onto VAE Victis and Tatey Stars. Oh no, here comes Spaghetti. Just serving a dish cold. No, never mind. It's not cold, it's hot, it's Spaghetti, and he just comes in. He gets it.
Wow.
There you go.
It's an ace for Renegades. A triple kill for Uni. TP Vox is back very strong in the meta. Meanwhile, while we were looking in mid lane, Tezza Boy 1 versus 1 against the Wrestler. He's 2 levels ahead. It's going to be so tough for Sniper Life to do anything. He's going to try it though. Tezza Boy says, sure, here we go. 1 versus 3 again from Tezza Boy.
Rose offensive and just, oh my goodness, explodes on the Reza. Second Rose offensive. Taka, what can you do? But he has the best blade of them all, and he's just gonna be able to get the 1, get the 2, and Majin, oh no, Majin. I'm just gonna complete it. Majin, boo, gets it, gets a triple, and Tezza Boy is on fire in the bottom lane.
Wow, 1 versus 3 on the weapon Blackfeather. SCMC tried to nerf Blackfeather. We went, nah, I'm just going to 1v3, hold my beer while I go and kill all of them. Lovely plays to get the Rose offensives through, use the execute just at the right time to kill everyone. And Ghostwing was captured by Renegades as well. Really important to pick that dragon up, so that in the next team fight they're going to be even stronger. Winner is going to go towards the top lane, but mid lane's being pushed up, so I think they're going to get this with Shingy coming up with 2 spell swords. Afterburn onto Cassandra.
Wow, diving coming in from the Grace just to make sure that Uni gets that destruction on the turret right here, but he's still going aggressive, wants more blood, and I think that's about enough for the mid lane. Oh wow, they actually get another kill on the Sniper as
top lane again.
Tezza Boy is going in aggressive. He's just a one-man army here for the side of Renegades, and well, he's just giving true justice to the name. A true Renegade here going up against VAE Victis in the bottom, while all of his other teammates are actually just split pushing on the top and on the mid.
Tezza Boy has a 3-level advantage against Reza, who's trying to compete against him in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, in the top lane, that tier 3 turret is going to go down quite low. Chingy has got, did have like a lot of gold, but now has gone to the shop. 2 spell swords already. It's going to be tough to play against this Glaive. There's an afterburn, and that's just a dead Baron.
Exclusion gonna try to at least chase down onto the Glaive, make a little bit of that, gold back that his Baron did lose, but still, pressure is on, and we've already seen 2 tier 3 turrets go down. Top lane will not be long for this world, and before the 14-minute mark, we're already seeing a dominant performance come out from RNG.
Yeah, Renegades have just picked up their first armory in the lane. A lovely knife from Spaghetti onto the Taka to secure that kill. And Renegades just want to win. They've got 2 armories. They're going to go onto the Vein Crystal already.
And this might be it. Hail Mary defense coming out from VAE Victis. Nice damage from the Baron, but will it be enough? You can still see that Spaghetti is full on HP here and just throwing out the slot A, skill A skills right there Man, too many skills, man. Malice and Verdict. Oh, 3v1. Can he follow in the footsteps of Tezza Boy? Looks like that's gonna be a no. But still, look at how many armories are gone. Actually, all of them.
They've all gone.
Everyone is gone. So that just means total annihilation here for VAE Victis is coming. And Shingy, well, he just wants to get a little bit more kills, and he gets it. Exits out, and that's gonna be it.
It seems like it will only be a matter of time before Renegades push this game to victory. All three of their lanes are now constantly going to push unless a member of VAE Victis is there to defend it. It was a great fight, great Hail Mary pass, as you said, from VAE Victis. A lovely Iron Cannon from Cassandra, some nice Porcupine Mortars to do lots of splash damage, and they did manage to pick up the Black Feather, picked up the Samuel, which was really important, those two important carries. But now they need to either get vision on the dragons or take a good fight, and Cassandra's going to get dived on.
Man, Tezza Boy is fearless right now. He has so many good items already that he is in the midst of it all. He even gets the intervention coming in from base and still survives. Oh my goodness, look how small his HP is. The shields, and Nixon can't even find him after all of that. Being in the middle of the fight, still comes out on top. And this is Renegades, not losing even a single member on their roster. Rona gonna go up against this Glaive in the top lane. Chingy might have actually bit off more than he can chew, but still, the damage has been done, and it's going to be the GG push for Renegades. 15 and 30 minutes in. One more shot, and that Crystal Vein will pop.
GG, well played to Renegades. They take the game in record time. 15 minutes and 46 seconds the game does end. That was just ridiculous from all of them, honestly. There was no one on Renegades that played badly. I don't think anyone from VAE Victis played poorly either. They played as best as they could, but it was just nowhere near as much as what Renegades were able to do with pressuring lanes at the right time and just taking team fights and winning them.
Yeah, that was... I mean, it was just insane. I kind of felt like the reason maybe why VAE Victis wanted to go for the Baron is because Baron, in my opinion, is like one of the best possible wave clears in this 5v5 game mode. And maybe that's what they wanted to actually, have him there, but it just didn't work. I mean, he went for the CP build. Not sure if it would have been better if he went for the weapon power, but yeah.
Yeah, I should go in CP Baron was just to make sure that they had enough carries on their team. CP Baron clears really quickly as well, and it did do a lot of damage, but yeah, it was just so tough for them. Tezza Boy went off on the Black Feather, and I'm sure there is somebody else who wants to talk about this game. iQuest Jewel, what do you have to say? Hopefully he can unmute his mic. Maybe that will be a good thing for iQuest Jewel to do if he's here. I'm not sure, so I'm just going to keep talking now until I hear something else. But yeah, it was a lovely game from Renegades. They showed how it's not just about team fighting. They team fought really well, but it was more about knowing where to be at the right time. So even if they knew they were going to lose a fight, they would bring the enemies away from where they're meant to be. As we saw Tezza Boy do in the bottom lane, he waited, made sure there were 4 people on him, then ran away, let himself die so that they could get themselves the mid lane turret. And that was really it. They just pressured the turrets, and the turrets give you enough of a gold lead, regardless of what jungle camps have been taken. Because yes, it's 100 gold one way or the other way, but turrets 150 to each member are just going to be more important. Is okay. Azariah appears to be having problems as well with some kind of echo. Do you want to try that again, Azariah?
Hello?
Yeah, I think we can hear you.
Alright, sweet. So, like, I think also one of the reasons why Renegades got such a good start from that was, I think, in the beginning of this 5v5 mode, VAE Victis had the right mentality to actually steal the buffs, right, from Renegades, but I think they overcommitted to that. And, of course, comparing 3v3 to 5v5, you got 3 more lanes, right? With, and if you actually just give like a portion, like a good amount of time for one of your laners to basically free farm a lane for maybe a minute or so in the early game, that's just gonna be insane amounts of, I think, like gold as well as levels that the opposing laner, once he comes back, will not be able to retrieve unless he actually gets a gank from the jungler, the ganker,
Yeah, I definitely think that it makes sense to have a top laner and a mid laner go for that Crystal Treant as an invade, but it just doesn't make sense for your bot laner to come all the way up, try and take that Crystal Treant, and then go back down to the lane. It just takes too much time.
Mm-hmm.
It would be better off taking the weapon Treant that's in the bottom side of your jungle and rotating to your bot lane, so that so that you're a lot better off in terms of rotation timing, and that you don't start the game out having to clear waves under turret, because that's not a good way to start, and that's exactly what Renegades would have wanted.
Okay, I apologize. Had some technical difficulties right as the game ended, right as I wanted to talk about that match. And thank you, Asarai, for covering that one, and of course to Minimiter. But not sure if you mentioned it, the drafts on both teams, I thought, really going into the start of that match could have gone either way, but in the end, Renegades just played it so much better, and it really seemed like an experience thing, as Asarai mentioned. Their rotations and their general tactics seemed a lot more clean and clear.
Yeah, I definitely think that rotations are so important, and it's hard to know what to do until you've just tried it and see what works, see what doesn't. And so it's just all about playing as many games as you can. And if you're playing a game and you think that you're winning it quite easily, try something different. See, okay, what can we do? Can we try and maybe not fight and try and push a lane while we know where they are? And that's just what Renegades did so well. Samuel constantly pushing up in the lanes and fighting, just waiting, baiting time so that Blackfeather in the bot lane could 1v1 the Reza, and then I think Blackfeather got on top of the armory so early in that game.
Yeah, you also mentioned that there's, due to the way that they had split up their team comp, I can't remember if it was 2-1-1, or I guess it'd be 2-1-1-1. But they did have some kind of focus split up that you said was actually working against them for the side of VAE Victis, where they decided to put two of their members. Was it in the bot lane?
It was in their bot lane, but for us looking, it was in their top lane, in the top lane. So that's I do think that just having two heroes constantly in a lane, especially a laner and a captain, it just isn't worth it, because your laner, especially someone like a Samuel, should be able to 1 versus 2 early game. You just clear the wave of the Drifting Dark and back off under your turret. They can't really do anything against you. The heroes don't have enough damage to take down the turrets early game. So you might take a little bit of turret damage, but with your captain roaming around the jungle and into other lanes, that's so much more effective than just constantly staying in a lane. Because one thing that's important to note is if you have someone staying in the lane all the time, the enemy laner is expecting it and knows to be more careful. If they're roaming around the map, then the laner might think that it's a 1 versus 1. They maybe overextend for some poke. Then your captain comes in and does a little bit more damage on them. So yeah, I think that was mainly a mistake by VAE Victis, but Renegades did match the duo top lane.
Yeah, and you did mention that Blackfeather doing a lot of work, always just staying consistent to their zone. I believe it's Tezaboy on the Blackfeather, sticking down in that bot lane, at least for Renegade's side. And yeah, just really pushing on through, and even during team fights would just continue doing so. And eventually they broke open the base to a point where they were able to take down multiple armories. And I believe the more armories you take down, the weaker the crystal gets, the easier it is to finish off.
Yeah, if you take down one armory, it's actually backdoored pushing down that lane. The Vayne has a lot of defense, takes you a long time to push it, but then take down the second one. They took down all 3 armories, basically one after the other in succession. So that made the Vayne really exposed, really weak, and the Vayne actually gets visibly weaker. You can see how much defense it's got, and it looks a lot more exposed once you take down the armories. So it was such a successful push from Renegades, and I wasn't quite sure how they did it, but they just kept pressuring and forced all the members of VAE Victis to back off, and they always had the minion waves. That's one thing that it's not very exciting to talk about when you're casting, but it's so important in the game, is making sure your wave is pushing and that they don't just get a free turret because you couldn't manage your minion waves correctly.
Yeah, that was something I was talking about with you prior to the match, was the lane control and just general map awareness. That would be so much more important, and in the end it was up to Renegades, who managed to, manage their minions better.
Yeah, I think they know where to be, and there was a lot of time spent. Shingy spent a lot of time in the lanes, even if it wasn't getting a kill. He was trying to pressure, clearing waves, making sure that the enemy team couldn't clear their wave. So it gave Renegades a lot more time to do what they needed to, and try and either split push or take some fights. So thinking about the compositions that both teams had, the teams are deciding what they want to play in this game. And what do you think has to be prioritised from VAE Victis? Do they want to maybe just ban away like a black feather away from Boy, or is that not a good idea for them because they should just try and counter it maybe in bot lane?
I feel like for Black Feather, you're able to deal with it. You just have to stay on top of it, because you could see when you let Black Feather get ahead, he didn't just get ahead in pushing the lane. It also ended up he was ahead in levels and just was able to end up in these situations where it required 4 members of VAE Victis. It required 4 members of their attention to just go down there. Meanwhile, Renegades are free to do whatever they want in the other lanes. There's only one other person to take care of a possible 2 other lanes and 2 other objectives. So really, I see that as an opportunity for them to do so by banning away the Black Feather, but I feel that Glaive is actually one of the heroes that you might be looking towards banning. Is just so strong, either banning or picking up, because of that, just how impactful the afterburn is early game, the stun that you get out of that, and how often it's up.
Yeah, if there was a ranked in 5v5 and a draft, I would be first picking Glaive in pretty much every game. So flexible and so strong as well. If you put him in the jungle, he can gank pretty much any lane. You put him in a lane, and he'll probably hold his own in that lane, even if he loses it, after and away. And as long as you've cleared the wave up, you're not going to get yourself caught out. So that is true. Renegades did get a comp that they were very happy with, very practiced with. You know, Chingy loves to play Glaive. Multiple spell swords is obviously the way to go. It doesn't matter. Spell sword did get nerfed in terms of weapon power, but also Glaive's weapon power ratios got buffed. So overall, Spellsword is about as good on Glaive as it was in previous patches, which means multiple Spellswords works just as well. You get those massive crits, and you get the really short afterburn cooldown. So I am excited to see what these teams are going to pick up. Whether we're going to see any other kind of picks. I really want to see an Ozo. He is so strong in 5v5, but no one wants to give him a go just yet.
Yeah, and we were talking about the team comps that actually came out of both teams being fairly decent all in all. I mean, you saw the Rona, the Churnwalker, I would consider both very good picks on the side of VAE Victis, but they really didn't get the chance to utilize those in team fights.
Yeah, I think that the Rona played really well, managed to get some kills onto the Samuel, pushing Grace away as well, but they just couldn't quite use it properly. They couldn't dive in on the Samuel. He was too free to run away because they were too scared of the Black Feather and the Glaive diving onto their backline that they were unable to counter that with diving onto the Samuel. And Spaghetti is a fantastic laner. Is going to be able to get away normally while dealing poke damage back to you. So I think, yeah, it was maybe a tough comp for VAE Victis to pull off. CP Brown is so defensive and Rona is so aggressive that they didn't really work together. And then there's a CP Vox where if you try and dive in together, he's going to wreck you anyway.
Yeah, so it was a tough matchup for them to go up against, with all that said. But into the next draft, I believe that even if the drafts are well done for either side, I'd say, because I didn't have any problems with the previous draft. It might have been slightly in favor of Renegades, but I just want to see VAE Victis really what potential they have in this next matchup against them. Although Renegades, as you mentioned, have so much experience, they were the first to play in the show matches at Worlds as well, and they did a great job at that, making Southeast Asia very proud as well. Is a great, I just guess, a showcase of what they're able to do. And that's really right now. The teams are still, as I said, practicing, learning, trying out new things. But right now it seems like Renegades have it down for the most part.
Yeah, Renegades continuing to show that they are top of Southeast Asia at the moment. They just know what to do, and they're showing off that they know what to do. Hopefully all of the other teams are going to be watching these games back, going to be learning from what Renegades have been showing off and trying to, if not copy it, at least figure out why they're doing it and how other teams try and be the same. But it will take time. Obviously, the golden ticket of access has only been available for less than a week, and so it really is tough for most of these teams to try and compete with a team that's had access since Worlds because obviously they played it at Worlds, and as you said, they played it so well. So I really think that the drafts are always going to be kind of even, because there are so many heroes that work extremely well on Sovereign's Rise. I don't think there are many heroes that you can say have no place. Even someone like a Flicker or a Grumpjaw, who were absolute trash in 2.11 and 3v3, are really good. I've seen Grumpjaws destroy me in 5v5. Flicker is someone that people are always scared to play because no one really knows how to play him properly. But he's definitely a strong hero to pick.
No, I agree with you there. A lot of heroes finding their place in this new map, and it's nice to see. It really extends the hero pool. And you mentioned the Flicker pick that I could totally agree on. There's so many more bushes for you to get your passive up on and sneak up on people. You don't even have to play support. I've heard of the rumors of a weapon power Flicker destroying some people. But also with the Grumpjaw you mentioned, I can imagine you've got AoE with slows, with tankiness. You have CC when it comes to Sovereign's Rise is just so much more impactful, or you notice it that much more just because there's more heroes on the fold. So in theory, more CC is going to come out. I think a strong team comp to put together when playing 5v5 has to include some form of CC. I mean, you're usually going to have your roamers will have some form of CC, but if you can have your jungler to have CC as well, those ganks are going to be that much more easy, that much more impactful. And then AoE, I think, is also another great tool to have, especially when you end up in these certain areas of the map where you could stand on the outside of a fight if you're a ranged hero like Samuel. We saw in the previous match, just being able to poke into the fight and build up those stacks on items like Dragon's Eye.
Yeah, I really think that slows as well are really important in 5v5, because a really important part of a team fight is having everybody try to get on the right target. Because obviously if you have dive heroes, you need to dive their backline. If you have kite heroes, you have to kite away from them. And so if you have slows, you have a Shiver Steel, you have maybe a Baron Porcupine Mortar to slow, a weapon Gwen has nice slow ratios on her Buckshot Bonanza. And so if you have those slows, it makes it so much harder for the enemy to actually get on the right targets. While they're doing that, that's when you can use your splash damage. That's when you can focus as many of them as possible. Because then, if they're not focusing the right target, maybe they're on your captain because they can't get to the back line. It makes them a much easier target.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what these two teams decide to pick and take away, what they decide to prioritize going into this next match. I think that we already talked about the Glaive, the Rona, the Samuel, the impactfulness of them. There's this strange thing that with assassin heroes, such as Taka and Koshka, they still have their place in 5v5. If you're able to pick off a member and get out alive from that, you've then swung the team fight around because you have the man advantage, and a lot of the time that can be all it takes to either out-pressure the enemy team through lanes, or just be able to have that much more confidence to go into a team fight or take an objective. But how do you feel about the assassin heroes in the 5v5 meta?
Yeah, obviously assassins were always really hard to balance in 3 versus 3 because their job is to eliminate one squishy target. In 3v3 that's a fight won, but in 5v5 it's not necessarily a one fight, because if you get one target completely dead and all of your team is low, the area of effect splash damage can mean that you basically get a team wiped because the enemy's got a CP Baron or a CP Vox or a Weapon Baron even, and so it's not always the best idea just to eliminate one of their carries. But I think that assassins really pair well if they have someone else to dive with them. Either a captain like a Grace, a jungler like Glaive, a laner like Glaive, or a laner like Jewel, Rona, someone else that can dive in with that Taka or Koshka to try and help eliminate a target. Because it is really hard to use just one hero to eliminate their squishy. Yes, Taka can do great, but he normally needs 2 X-Retsus to finish off that squishy carry. By the time the second one's on cooldown, they might have got a Grace ult, a Lorelei ult, a Fountain, a Crucible. It might be impossible to take down. They might be too far away from the fight. So I think it's really important, if you're going for that strategy, you need at least 2 heroes that can just dive onto the backline.
Yeah, and I think that's where the CC and a 5v5 team comp, as well as just general team synergy when going into a team fight, is that much more important. But we talk about how 5v5 is just this much more of a strategic and tactical game. We'll have to see it for ourselves as we are loading into the second match between Renegades and VAE Victis, and casting alongside you, gonna pass it off to Asarai, and this time, going over to the Sovereign's Rise.
Alrighty. So, actually, who's gonna be my co-caster? I think it's gonna be I Request a Jewel.
Yep,
Is that
I
true?
request you. It is yourself. I request you.
Okay, then I just passed myself off into this match, and I'm glad to be casting alongside you, Asarai.
Yeah,
Looks like nothing is going right for me, but let's see if something can go right for the side of VAE Victis in the second match.
Again, this is just like a best of 2 show match series, guys. This to see or to showcase how these teams understand the 5v5 map. Again, we're no longer in Halcyon Fold. This is the Sovereign's Rise, and with this, the rise of a new gameplay in Vainglory. How's about that?
Yep. Nice transition there. As we see the teams transition towards their camps, you can see that going for the red buff seems to be the way, at least for Renegades, as they start off. Going to give that over to Vikoshka instead of Verona. Now, either hero that picked this up could have done great work with it. I mean, the red buff providing the slow on your basic attacks really helps with those ganks. And Koshka, I think, could utilize it a bit more in the early game, since Tessa Boy on that Rona already has the Into the Fray slow. So it is a smart choice to go and hand it over to Chingy instead.
Yeah. Plus, this is like OG Renegades. Like, before they even became Renegades, staple hero that Chingy uses, Koshka. Holy moly! Just look at him explode on that Celeste. No escape, no surrender, no mercy. They're looking for the second one. Ozo goes down. And, wow. You haven't even hit the 2-minute mark and already 2 kills for Renegades.
Yeah, but just going over so quickly, so fast, that red buff perhaps helping out, but just Koshka and Rona, I mentioned it before, such strong heroes in 5v5, and they've gone and put them both in the top lane. Perhaps not there to stay, but right now they're doing work on this tier 1 turret. They've already got it down to under half health, but here comes Exclusion on Lance, going in for the gank. He does get the Giffian wall off, but he's going to have to back out for now, as Renegades will make their escape.
This is so difficult, like, to deal against a Koshka when you have a Lance and a Celeste. I mean, granted, they do have good punish, but then look at this top lane. Still, it's going to be very close for Daily Stars, but going to the mid, like you said, it's a little bit of a tussle here. Cassandra very low in HP on the Samuel, but well, nothing will happen after that. I Angry You Die, though, doesn't know that there's a scout camp in that bottom part of the mid lane brush. Nice connection onto the stun. SNK really wants some blood here, but he could go down himself. Oh, I thought Cassandra was going to go for that last hit. But anyways, at least the smoke has settled for the early game.
Yes, it seems like a little less action was going on in the bot lane up until now, where Martian going one-on-one with Uni here on the Adagio. Now, how do you feel about this Adagio pickup? Because he can be quite strong if he gets ahead, even as a 1v1 as a duelist going up against Blackfeather, but even stronger in team fights if he gets that fire onto everyone. But right now, he is under fire himself, being pushed right back underneath his turret.
I think right now the Adagio is more of like a filler character for Renegades, because like looking at the other heroes that they have, well, before that, Uni might actually get blown up here, but Iagriadai is just really going through that dive. And sometimes when you overextend, when you overdive, that happens, man. But like, back to your question, I think like this Adagio, even though it's very strong, I think this is more of a filler role for Renegades, that he's just gonna be there because he has the sustain. They can leave him in lane and he's just gonna be fine. They don't have to worry about him, leaving Chingy to actually focus on top and mid, which actually is kind of working out, because both, I mean, top lane wise, Celeste is very easy to dive, and at the same time she's not really the best defender, especially against such a, like you said, a strong duo composition such as this Rona and Koshka. Plus, they have so much mobility that they can just keep diving or chasing all day long onto the Celeste if she has nobody to, well, quote-unquote babysitter in that lane.
Yep, and we do see that Lance has been forced up into that top lane to take care of Celeste for now, but Chingy rotating into the enemy jungle has found Iron Udai on that Ozo wave, manages to get the aggro bounce over the wall. Was that onto the scout cam, I believe? Oh, but Deity Stars stepping a bit too far out into the lane will get taken down within an instant. You mentioned that speed coming out of Koshka, and it's just so dangerous to deal with. They're going to be able to take the top lane turret for themselves.
And I'm not really sure why they wanted to get Celeste on the top rather than mid, because it feels like it's an island in the top lane. It kind of leaves Celeste a little bit vulnerable to all of this, because if she overextends, she really overextends. At least if it's in the mid, you're kind of closer to your turret. But in any case, that's going to be top tier 1 down, taken by RNG here, and they've gotten themselves the first turret of this game. And Chingy showing his proactiveness. You gotta keep an eye on this player, guys. Again, like I said, this is his OG hero of the original gangsta Chingy on the Koshka, and then Spaghetti on his Idris as well.
Yep, and you mentioned that on the side of VAE Victis, why they put the Celeste up in the top lane. I do believe, I'd agree with you, that is best suited for the mid lane, especially when you've got a hero like Samuel in the mid. You could easily put that Samuel up in the top lane, and he'd have a much better time sustaining against the threat that is Koshka and Rona, but Koshka now making their way down to the mid. It's going to be looking for blood, but needs to be careful. Solar Storm across the map, it does clip onto them, and here comes Iron Udai to help out secure the kill. Chingy not done just yet. They are going to fight to their last breath, but they do go down in the end, and Spaghetti needing to be careful finding the safety of his turret. So that Koshka finally going down, but you can see that it's kind of what I talked about with Mini Maita earlier of assassin heroes in the 5v5 meta. You really need to be careful. You need to make sure, is it really just that one person you're going for, and if so, are you able to finish them? Are you sure they're not going to get away? Because if they are, it can easily be turned around and be your downfall.
That's true. I mean, as a fight in a 5v5 as an assassin, you really have to be an assassin. Like, you have to be able to like burst your opponents quite quickly, or else the punish could happen. And that's what happened to Chingy right there. But now going to the bottom lane, nice use of the Reverse Judgment like 30 seconds ago to keep Uni alive for the meantime, allowing Chingy, after a couple of more seconds, to actually rotate to the bottom lane, get themselves that kill once again, shut down Majinus, I believe, Ayagri there as well, as they tried to make a tussle here. And after all of that, it's going to be a transition to the spot, like I said, with the bottom tier 1 precariously, dangerously low, and look at Uni just go massively ham on those auto attacks. And Cassandra here will be left in a 3v1 situation. Can he use the Malice and Birdie to actually win up against this matchup? No! That is just too good of a micromanagement coming in from Spaghetti. Majin, though, gets the Rose offensive, gets the shutdown. He's looking for more. Uni is very low in HP here, and he wants, well, does he want it? You know, not enough mobility, but still, at least they get the shutdown.
Yep, at least they get the shutdown, but they did lose a tier 2 turret in that bot lane, and they're going to lose a mid. Iron Udai, however, with the Bangarang to chase after Koshka, is going to be able to secure that kill. More than likely, there's the acro bounce just to be sure the Solar Storm also came through, but Tezaboy now trying to take down that Ozo is going to have enough lifesteal to do so, even through that Fountain of Renewal on the side of VAE Victis. But now needing to be careful. Spaghetti rejoining in the fight, but this could be a 3v2 if they're not careful.
Spaghetti's gonna go for, if I'm not mistaken, an assassin build on his Idris. Well, not actually looking to that. Bottom lane wise, SNK with a 1v1 against the Black Feather wins out that duel. But coming back to the mid, and like I said, Spaghetti will be going for that weapon power Idris, so he's looking for more assassination potential. So maybe that's their answer. Like, if you're lacking damage on one assassin, why not get 2?
Ooh, Chingy with that Pouncy into there. There's going to be a Captain Frenzy onto the Lance. They're going to go for the chase down. That's just a massive leap into the mid lane. The gank potential on this hero is so massive. The movement speed, but roaming, and look at that, over the wall onto Deity Stars, but are they able to finish off the kill? They're going to go back onto turret, but have they bitten off more than they can chew? Ooh. No, they have not. They get out alive for only a second, and Martian going to come in for the shutdown, but we see the rest of the team, or at least Rona and Catherine, putting some pressure up in this top lane. Wow, Chingy on that Koshka, just showing you what you can do with that hero.
It's crazy. Like, he wasn't supposed to actually, I think, look for Deity Stars, but he just found him out of nowhere. Now, Tezaboy here on the top side is going to spin to win onto 3 members. Look at that. All of that lifesteal coming out from him, helping, or rather, the Serpent's Mask actually helping his case for the moment, and he's going to go dip in once again. But this is a 3v2. This might be the fight that they don't want to actually go into it, because now Majin is able to get that shutdown. He's looking for a second one. Will they go for the turret dive here, as that is a fully fledged healed up turret? Uses the blast tremor just for the silence, but Chingy might have been in a very bad spot to actually have gone for that. That is going to be a 2 or 1 exchange, actually going to be in favor of VAE Victis here. Chingy still trying to dive under turret. He survives. He's so low in HP. Exclusion goes in with the tumble, the combat roll, hoping to get a kill onto Chingy here, but it's not going to go your way, Joe. And here we go. Looking to the bottom, it's going to be the Ghost Wing, taken, or at least being taken here by Idris as well as the Adagio.
Ooh, but Deity Stars is onto it. You can see the damage coming out from those Heliogenesis, and there's going to be Ghostwing with that really long leash range there. You can see even shooting back over the Ghostwing pit over at Celeste, knowing they're there. Don't touch me, Ghostwing says, but Uni will touch you. The question is, who's going to touch Spaghetti?
Sorry, I got a little bit out of that one. Well, I don't think anybody's going to be touching my Spaghetti, as he's going to be the one to do all the touching. Anyways, going to the top side, we see that the Rona gets himself an objective, top tier 2 taken down, as well as a fadeaway kill on this Samuel. So it's kind of like going once again that Tezaboy is going to be, I would say, like, quote unquote, the split hero for Renegades. Like, they always try to pick for him a hero that can survive on his own and siege tower on his own quite effectively, just to give more pressure for Renegades here, rather than relieving pressure from them.
Yeah, definitely. You could see it in the playstyle. Rona already up to that base turret and just doing work on it. Doesn't even care about Cassandra, who's trying to put the Malice and Verdicts down. But during that time, there was 2 members, I believe it was SNK and Uni, down in the bot lane, and they managed to outduel 3 of the side of VAE Victis. But here comes the fight down in the mid, and looks like Koshka might want to get out of there, but jumping onto the backline, trying to find Deity Stars, needs to be careful they don't get caught out. Tezaboy not too sure where to get into this fight, but SNK going to go in with the Merciless Pursuit. The Blast Tremor, it's an opportunity to go in, but Red missed, but Cassandra gets out with their life, putting down their Oblivion, forcing them away. Chingy, meanwhile, trying to go for the Ozo, can't even see the health bar, but it won't be there for long as he just gets mobbed by Renegades.
That was beautiful coming in from Renegades. Like, understood that they weren't able to get the kill on, I think, Cassandra there, but still, that was a good split from them, and they were able to transition that into a tier 3 turret. Now Renegades are running rampant into the base here. Second time for this best of 2 against VAE Victis. They've taken the 1 tier 3, and now they've exposed the top armory already. They take that with no casualties in their lineup. Nice 2-man connection here from Exclusion. This might be at least some revenge kills that's gonna come out from VAE Victis. And look at I Angry You Die. You see what I'm saying? From where the hell did he come from? It's gonna be the Verse of Judgment coming out from Uni here. Does get the punish, but he gets punished himself. Although they only lose the 1 for how much havoc they have instilled into the base of VAE Victis.
Yes, really, it is in Renegade's favor once again. As you said, as soon as they break open that base, they really go for it all. And they were able to take away the armory, which is now putting this constant pressure up in the top lane, as well as Spaghetti and SNK just deciding to push that up even more. Martian going to try contest it, but he has used one of his Rose offensive charges, has another one up, should be up to find the safety of his team. And now it's a 3v2 situation. Impale wants Spaghetti into the Giffian wall. The stun's going through, but the silence from SNK going to be big. Chingy joining in on the fight, jumping onto Martian, but he gets the block going with the Rose offensive, and Chingy gets pulled back into the fight. Can they survive it? fountain won't be enough, and it looks like this could be a VAE Victis fight. But all the meanwhile, Rona has been doing work on Black Claw. They're going to put that much pressure on the base, and you can see that VAE Victis going so low just to chase SNK, but they're tanking up all the damage. Spaghetti turning around alongside Tessa Boy, and they're going to clean up here. And it looks like we're going to find... I can't even see who's dying. It's going to be Cassandra. Their health bar just gone in an instant.
Wow, SNK survived for more, I would assume like more than a minute with sliver of HP as he basically almost got the ultimate great escape mate on that top lane. But like you said, while all of that confusion was happening in the top lane, while they were trying to do like a 2v4, 2v5 situation, it's gonna be the Black Claw to have actually been taken by Tessa Boy, and this beast is gonna be unleashed. And look at that, he's just spewing flames of death, destruction, and mayhem into that crystal vein. And I don't think even with the 5-man structure here, or 5-man squad of VAE Victis, can they take down this behemoth this late into the game, or actually this early into the game, but very late into their base.
Yes, late indeed. It looks like the crystal has fallen, and that's going to be the game 2 going over to Renegades for this 5v5 show match between them. So, although we saw, I think, a better performance coming out from VAE Victis in the second match, it still was not enough against the... I would like to call them the reigning 5v5 champions after Worlds.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. But still, I mean, like that. This is just like insane performance coming from them. Aside from all, it's just crazy. Like, I mean, you can see how Renegades kind of plays in a general fashion, wherein, again, like I said, they would have Tessa Boy on that split pushing role, and then they would have at least like a 2-2 setup with they have gankers in the jungle that'll just like rotate to the lanes, get the kills, get the early dives if they can, and even the turrets. And then that formula works so well for them because I guess their opponents don't really know yet how to actually answer back that type of playstyle, that type of aggression. But yeah.
Yep, and with that, thank you, Asarai, for casting alongside me for that match. I'm going to talk to Mini Mitre a bit more about what happened there, if he's got any more insight in the Renegades' tactics and how they managed to take control of the Rise.
Thank you, Crystal and Azarai. Wow, that took Renegades a grand total of 12 seconds longer than the first game to take down the Vayne Crystal. It's just incredible objective control from Renegades. They knew exactly what to do and when to do it. It was lovely plays from VAE Victis. Lance, in particular, their captain, made some lovely Githian wall saves onto his team and some stuns to secure kills, especially on Ozo. But the problem was they got tons of kills, but all 3 tier 1 turrets from Renegades remained standing. They did not get a single turret. They didn't get a single objective in the game. And that's what 5v5 is all about. It's not about winning team fights. It's about taking objectives. And team fights are just one way to allow you to do that. And that's something that I really think VAE Victis can work on and probably will work on, because their team fighting was very good, except when they overextended to try and kill a Catherine.
Yeah, well, as Asarai and myself were talking during the matchup, putting that Celeste in the top lane, I think could have been a kind of poor decision when you had Samuel on your team and you talked about taking objectives, and the fact that VAE Victis weren't actually able to take any away from Renegades in that second matchup, I think you're right, they have good team fighting potential, but when it comes down to that lane management and just even deciding, it could be considered as a part of the draft. And even if you go into the match thinking, okay, we're going to put Celeste in the top lane, once you notice it's not working out, you've got to make that rotation. You've got to be willing to make that swap, and it would just be so much better for your team in the long run. And I think that's what a lot of teams will have to adapt to, that just in the same sense that the jungle and the farm and the lanes, it's not a single person's farm anymore. It's everyone's farm. It's the team's economy, and you've got to treat the lanes that way as well, that if the lane's getting pushed, you might need to be willing to make that swap with your team.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes sense to have Samuel in top and Celeste in mid. Maybe the reason they did that was because their top laner is a better Celeste than the mid laner. But it's really important that the three laners can, if needs be, swap between lanes. I think that, yeah, especially mid and top, because they tend to have quite similar heroes being played in them. It makes a lot of sense that they both need to know how to play in both lanes, because it just makes so much more sense. Celeste has a shorter range than Samuel at level 1. The mid lane is a shorter lane, so Celeste can be closer to her turret while farming. Samuel has a massive range, especially when empowered, so he can farm pretty much from under turret. He can get the wave from top lane. So yeah, it definitely makes a lot more sense to put Samuel in top. But again, that may be something where they're not quite sure which way around is best. Now they realise, and they probably wouldn't make that mistake again.
Yeah, as we said, the team's still learning. These are still show matches, and all just so you guys can enjoy the players. We get to see some pro teams actually playing on the 5v5 Sovereign's Rise map, which I'm sure most of the viewers out there would have their golden tickets by now. But for those who don't, even when you're in the 5v5 early access, it's still quite... how to say, everyone's a bit lost at times, but it's great to see that Renegades, their team, is on top of it, and they know exactly what they need to do to win a match and close it out very quickly.
Renegades are certainly the team to beat at the moment, taking that series pretty convincingly 2-0. But we're now going to head to a 5-minute break. When we come back, there will be another show match, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
Precise, intuitive touch controls that make a MOBA feel like magic. Nothing diluted, nothing dumbed down, delivering through original and creative hero design, level design, item design, and objective design, the immense depth, skill, and complexity that a legitimate 5v5 MOBA should offer. Outplay and outthink your opponent like no other game. Superior gameplay and graphics. The most accurate and responsive controls. Deep, original fantasy storytelling. And unparalleled technical excellence with the platform-leading proprietary game engine and the highest frame rates. Super Evil Megacorp's Vainglory 5v5 sets the new bar for mobile gaming. Never settle for the lesser evil. Powered by the highest performance game engine on mobile, leveraging years of experience building the largest international competitive mobile esport, harnessing extraordinary community anticipation. This February, Super Evil Megacorp will unleash the category-defining 5v5 battle arena for mobile. The first and only true 5v5 MOBA on the mobile platform, featuring graphics that put the copycats to shame, rendered at a smooth, flawless 120 frames per second. A simple-to-start, highly accessible experience that matches or outperforms PC and console counterparts in every way, with ultra-precise, intuitive touch controls that make a MOBA feel like magic. Nothing diluted, nothing dumbed down, delivering through original and creative hero design, level design, item design, and objective design, the immense depth, skill, and complexity that a legitimate 5v5 MOBA should offer. Outplay and outthink your opponent like no other game. Superior gameplay and graphics. The most accurate and responsive controls. Deep, original fantasy storytelling, and unparalleled technical excellence with the platform-leading proprietary game engine and the highest frame rates. Super Evil Megacorp's Vainglory 5v5 sets the new bar for mobile gaming. Never settle for the lesser evil. Powered by the highest performance game engine on mobile, leveraging years of experience building the largest international competitive mobile esport, harnessing extraordinary community anticipation. This February, Super Evil Megacorp will unleash the category-defining 5v5 battle arena for mobile. The first and only true 5v5 MOBA on the mobile platform, featuring graphics that put the copycats to shame, rendered at a smooth, flawless 120 frames per second. A simple-to-start, highly accessible experience that matches or outperforms PC and console counterparts in every way, with ultra-precise, intuitive touch controls that make a MOBA feel like magic. Nothing diluted, nothing dumbed down, delivering through original and creative hero design, level design, item design, and objective design, the immense depth, skill, and complexity that a legitimate 5v5 MOBA should offer. Outplay and outthink your opponent like no other game. Superior gameplay and graphics. The most accurate and responsive controls. Deep, original fantasy storytelling. And unparalleled technical excellence with the platform-leading proprietary game engine and the highest frame rates. Super Evil Megacorp's Vainglory 5v5 sets the new bar for mobile gaming. Never settle for the lesser evil. Powered by the highest performance game engine on mobile, leveraging years of experience building the largest international competitive mobile esport, harnessing extraordinary community anticipation. This February, Super Evil Megacorp will unleash the category-defining 5v5 battle arena for mobile. The first and only true 5v5 MOBA on the mobile platform, featuring graphics that put the copycats to shame, rendered at a smooth, flawless 120 frames per second. A simple-to-start, highly accessible experience that matches or outperforms PC and console counterparts in every way, with ultra-precise, intuitive touch controls that make a MOBA feel like magic. Nothing diluted, nothing dumbed down, delivering through original and creative hero design, level design, item design, and objective design, the immense depth, skill, and complexity that a legitimate 5v5 MOBA should offer. Outplay and outthink your opponent like no other game. Superior gameplay and graphics. The most accurate and responsive controls. Deep, original fantasy storytelling. And unparalleled technical excellence with the platform-leading proprietary game engine and the highest frame rates. Super Evil Megacorp's Vainglory 5v5 sets the new bar for mobile gaming. Never settle for the lesser evil. Powered by the highest performance game engine on mobile, leveraging years of experience building the largest international competitive mobile esport, harnessing extraordinary community anticipation. This February, Super Evil Megacorp will unleash the category-defining 5v5 battle arena for mobile. The first and only true 5v5 MOBA on the mobile platform.
Hello ladies and gents, and welcome back to the 5 vs 5 show matches. My name is Minimiter, and joining me for this second show match I've got I Request a Duel.
Hello, hello, and we are back for match 2, which will be Impunity going up against Boom Esports. So another great match ahead of us. As you could say that Renegades are the top of SEA, I believe Impunity would have something to say about that.
Yep, in 3 vs 3, Impunity got to Worlds, made a fantastic run, the pride of Southeast Asia, and the crowd were massively behind them. It was awesome to see Impunity play well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this Impunity roster, with the addition of Truffles and Truffless, is going to work out in 5v5. This game, this second show match, it's much harder to call who's going to be the favourite. Obviously, in the first game, Renegades were the favourite, and they showed why they were the favourite. But in this game, I think most people would think Impunity are going to be favourites. But then again, neither of these teams have had 5 players in their roster for very long. And Golden Tickets only came out about a week ago. So it's all about how quickly these teams have adapted, and whether we're going to see lots of team fights and no turrets, or whether we're going to see a proper 5 vs 5, go for the objectives first kind of game.
Yeah, it really will be down to the lane management, as we talked about. All the stuff we talked about previously, but to reiterate, is really based on that lane management, as well as the split pushing, which I guess you could kind of put into that same area. And the team fights, as you said, are just way to make a means for opportunity to then go and push turrets, take objectives. I mean, we even talked about in 3v3. If you look at it on a plain blank slate, nothing's really changed. You're still looking to get kills so you can get objectives. That is it at the end of the day. However, in 5v5, there's just so many more objectives.
Yeah, and it's more important to get the objectives. In 3v3, you could chase for kills and it would be worth it. If you got the ace then and have 60-second death timers, you can basically get whatever you want because the map was quite small. But now, even if you get a late game ace, If it's in the wrong side of the map and your waves are in the wrong place, you might get absolutely nothing from it. That never happened in 3v3. If you got an ace, you would get a Kraken, you would get at least a turret. And so that's really something important to note, is that remembering to not chase kills, especially against someone like a Catherine, maybe against Lance, you don't, especially against a Churn Walker. I've made that mistake so many times of thinking he's one hit and he's just not, because he will just heal, his teammates will come, make him heal more, and you're going to overextend for that kill and probably not get it anyway.
Yeah, so we will have to see what these two teams are going to do for themselves, because frankly, I don't believe I've seen Silver Boom play, or at least I haven't casted a match, Boom Esports that is. So I'm excited to see if, you know, as a team going into 5v5, you also mentioned for Impunity side of things that they also have to adapt to having new members on their team. And it's really how quickly these pro teams can adapt. But if there's going to be anyone to adapt to the 5v5 meta, it's not going to be us casual scrubs. It's going to be these pros.
Yeah, I think that one really important thing is, even if it's hard for the teams to synergize together, if you have one or two shot callers in your team, then it's quite simple to just follow the calls. If you're a new player coming to the team, you just play your game, do what they tell you to do, and then it can be pretty simple, as long as those calls are correct, for you to win the game. If you know that you're mechanically enough to win your lane matchup, then you can just be trusted to do that, as long as you don't overextend and get ganked by the jungler or the captain. Then it can be quite simple to bring good players together, as long as there's that captain or the jungler who can make the meta game shot calls, because the micro game is all about how good you are as a player. But yeah, that meta game, it's not about how well the team synergizes. It's really, someone has to tell you what to do, because if everyone's doing what they think is right, then everyone's going to be doing something different.
Yeah, well, you did mention having one or two shot callers, and I might disagree as to you should really have one shot caller for the most part. Of course, it's up to the player's own intuition for a lot of the decisions they should make as well, but when it comes to those rotations, I know that a lot of the team will be calling out, there's a lot of communication going on, as previous week we had the chance actually, or Asarai and myself, as well as Luxuria, had the chance to play alongside those pro players and have the kind of communication that they have during these matches. And I think that when it comes to the late game, especially going for those objectives, having one defined shot caller is so important. But during the early game and such, it kind of goes back to what I said about, if you need to make a rotation, if something isn't working out for your team, you really need to communicate that with them, and it needs to be that much more important. I think solo queue in that sense might be a bit more difficult for a lot of people, just because communication, even in 3v3, was lacking at times. But that's why we've got these show matches, to show you what it can be like if you happen to find those players. And as you said, just gathering a bunch of talented players together might be all it takes, as long as they're willing to work together as a team and communicate.
Yeah, I definitely think in solo queue it's going to be all about you knowing what you need to do, and basically making sure you can win your lane matchup. The macro play is going to be pretty even for both teams, because no one has the communication. It's not as if you're a team of 5 against 5 solo queue players. That can't happen. If you're in solo, they're in solo, so they're going to have just as much trouble explaining which objectives they think they should take, what lanes need to be pushed. And so yeah, I think making sure that your wave's in a good position is almost always a good idea. So if you're kind of stuck, what should I be doing? We've just got some kills, we can't take an objective, there are no dragons up. If you can just push your waves up, then you'll always be in a good position, either to take another fight and take a turret, or if you lose a fight, you know that the enemies cannot take your turret.
Yeah, and I think due to that split pushing is going to be even more important. Whether you're playing 5v5 with a full team or playing solo queue, especially for that solo queue environment, really making sure you get the objectives, and then eventually you can swing the gold economy around for your team. As I believe you mentioned one point, a single turret, does it grant around 5k gold?
No, a turret grants 150 gold to each member.
Okay, 150 to each, but that's where I got mixed up. The team that happened to get that afterwards had
Then has a
5K. It
gold
was
lead.
probably Renegades in their first match with the early turret.
Yeah, it does tend to be that if you get one turret, the gold lead goes more than just that turret's bounty, because the waves are in your favour, so you're normally getting... If you get the turret as well, you have more control over their jungle. You can steal away their buff camps a lot more effectively and a lot easier, and the heal camps that aren't worth as much gold, but are really important for being battle ready, taking those heal camps, because obviously the House Jump potions are no more. They went a while ago. And so I think that even though it's not as much gold as it looks like, it leads to a much bigger gold lead by taking the turret.
Yeah, and I think that really it also opens up the map that much more. With 3v3, you always had to just worry about keeping an eye on Kraken. Generally tended to be the thing, and now with Fog of War in the map as well, it's that much more crucial to have control over the map. And even if you're losing in turrets yourself, just always push forwards and try to get that vision down where it's needed, especially going to late game, or even what seems like late game. I was casting the match before with Asarai, and we thought it was already late game as Blacklaw was pushing into the base of VAE Victis, and it was only 15 minutes in.
Yeah, it's certainly 15 minutes is nowhere near late game in 5 vs 5. That's around the middle of the game, whereas in 3v3 you would be pushing late game at 15 minutes. And so yeah, I think it is very hectic, and players get full built a lot earlier, which does go towards people thinking it gets later on in the game. But we are now loading into the Rise for the second show match, and so casting this game, we're going to be bringing in Azurai and Luxuria.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce myself once again. My name is Asra. Of course, here with me now is the one, the only, Luxuria.
Hello, and it has been a while since I casted, at least. From last week, I was actually playing with a pro player, so I did not fare too well. I lost both of my games to Asarai, and I requested duo, but hey, learning aspect for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually not gonna talk about that. But, I requested Jewel actually reminded us that.
Well, exactly.
Loki, he said it, last week we actually played a game with Asarai and Luxuria, and it's like, oh, he's trying to remind us that, I didn't do well. I didn't fare well, but we do see an early skirmish right now over this Crystal Trian. Oh, yeah. I'm actually gonna try to steal that, maybe? Nah. No contest from them. So Silver Boom actually gonna be trying to do the same thing that that the previous team, VAE Victis, tried to do, which was to just keep the the invades rolling, and nice steal there from maybe Someday onto Truffless on this Rona. Not gonna allow him to get that Trian, so tough luck for him.
I'm sure that's Truffy's the guy that's playing. The female would be Truffless, because the OG is usually the female, and then when you try to woo the female, you change your IGN. But of course, back to this game, and the Das actually mentioned something I would like to touch on, and split pushing. And it would definitely fare well for Blue City, because we saw him do that. Not Blue City, sorry, DevQ. And we saw him do that in 3v3 when he was on Pato. I'm not sure if you do remember, but when 3v3 was, the rage before 5v5 came out, we do see a lot of split pushing coming through from DevQ.
Yeah. Before that, or rather, aside from that, it's going to be a little bit of a tussle. Mid, DevQ did take quite a bit of damage, leapt in onto the Grump Jaw, but well, this pug has some... Actually, I was gonna say jug, but I don't understand what that meant. But
this has some jug.
This pug has some bite to it, so nothing gonna happen there. But look at how much vision that they have on the top side of the jungle for Silver Boom, and well, on the opposite side of the spectrum is actually in the bottom lane. More vision for Impunity right there. But even though through the vision, Fortress did go down, giving Silver Boom that first blood for their team.
Yeah, the first blood wouldn't mean so much, especially if it's just the Roma. They can just reset, and it would not, affect the game all too much. Whereas for now, Valeska though.
Oh, they're gonna go aggressive. Paint Sandy. One more shot could be connection onto the jump jets, and then to the double attack. And now Valeska might be dub upon right here. Porcupine Mortar just to make some maybe added damage right here. Valeska's going to be spawning out DevQ once again, but I don't think he's going to be able to make anything happen. DevQ is already level 3, and Valeska is in a hurt. He's going aggressive onto ZefQ, but Truffla is actually going in with the dive. Blue City for the final shot connection onto that one. Dirty plays from Impunity and masterfully playing around the offense of this turret.
Yep, and with the turret just attacking much faster as compared to when 3v3, and I'm pretty sure they hurt quite a bit as well. It is very important to know how to juggle that aggression coming through from the turret, and it's quite weird for me to say that the turret is aggressive. It just sits there and shoot. But you get the point, and it's quite amazing as well to me that we actually get to see some Grumjaw being played, and as with Minimizer actually said, Pin Sunday going down. I'm sorry to take you away from that, but another fight will be happening.
Alright, so I'll let you finish after this one because it looks like it's gonna be a bit of a good damage coming from Alien, and well, Alien does have Xenomorphs, and that Xenomorph just bursted through the fortress, but still looks like Blue City's going to be able to come back a little bit online. Zefki going for the chase, and the Pug has finally gone down. Such a big brute, able to just go down, make him salute. Baby here, going to go into a 1v1 against Defq, but Pain Sandy going to be joining in onto the fight once as well. Drops down the Ordain right there, so he won't be able to use it onto Blue City. So Blue City's going to be able to jet away and maybe onto the safety of his own turret and just go back to farming.
Yep, there's so much happening in the bottom lane, and as I was talking about earlier, Grumjaw just so very strong in this particular update. Say you have enough tank, you have your damage, especially if you go for that CP build, and your first skill, I keep remembering it as Rampage because I abuse it so much in Brawl modes.
Well, seems like there's going to be another engagement. Four-legged beasts are on Sovereign's Rise right now. There's just be so much mobility, so much engagement happening everywhere. And we saw Blue City get exploded into the bottom lane as there was a 3-man rotation right there. Top lane-wise, it's going to be a 1v1 between the Idris as well as the Rona. And Rona should be coming out on top here, but the Idris can hold his own for the meantime. Can't stick too close to this one as a spin to win is key to victory. DefQ looks to actually rotate to the mid, but as Baby will be porting back into the base, he's going to rotate to the top, and Truffies won't know what hit him. Oh, no, never mind. Actually, teammates, maybe somebody almost did not know what hit him, but he was safe. He's safe. It's alright.
Teammates OP. But, as for Baron as well, we are seeing Blue City actually putting out so much work in this early game, whereas in 3v3, Baron don't quite see much play, only because it takes so much for Baron to actually scale up into that of late game. But now, just looking at Blue City, he's sitting 4-1-1, another 3-man gang in the bottom lane.
Never gonna stop the aggression. It's basically like Ashley, saying never gonna give up on his bottom lane, and gets another kill. Oh my goodness, Blue City using the Iron Cannon. And Alien, you know what he does? He just devours people, spits them back out, and that's what he did. Uses the stuff and makes sure that they get the kill. Quite nice, clean, and transitions to the mid. And look at this. Oh my goodness. The usage on the Koshka ultimate there was not enough. Not going to be able to Quartervois. Goodness enough that he was not overextended, so he'll be able to fight for another day, but Valeska has some other plans, maybe? No, never mind.
Yep, and there's so much CC coming through from the side of... Wait, let me think. I know. Boom Esports. I almost said Silver Boom. And I knew that was wrong somewhere, somehow, but there's just so much CC coming out from Boom Esports. And as you would imagine, in 5v5, the desk have mentioned, CC's just come out so strong in this particular meta, at least, because of the amount of people you can actually just trap, especially if you have a Catherine 5-man silences or 5-man stuns from that of Turnwalker is just so very valuable on your team. Whereas from the side of Boom right now, we have Grumjaw with the stuff, the stun from Valeska, maybe someday they can just quickly assassinate, and on top of that, no longer threesome shade, but more of 5-man fearsome shade.
Yeah, also like if you're able to put down like a very sick Ordain, not like the bad Ordain, but like really sick, like really good Ordain, you can trap like 4, maybe even 5 people inside. But there's gonna be a little bit again a skirmish into the bottom lane. Looks like it's gonna be the use onto the fearsome shade here, but it doesn't connect onto anybody, and the push is still on. Truffles is gonna be pushing with Blue City here, going aggressive onto Valeska. Not really sure why he is the Grace. Is gonna be tanky here. He could have actually gone to the Batiste, and now they're just gonna go for the healing Treant. Who got the last hit there? I did not see, but it seems like Pain Sandy will be in a rock in a hard place, but he does have Valeska. Doesn't have the ultimate right there, so no intervention will be coming out. This Grumcho wants to go in, but DeathQ is right behind him, although as onto the mid lane, it's gonna be Baby to put some damage onto DeathQ right there. They've already lost Valeska in that tussle, but Alien will survive. But still, that is a 2-0 with the jungle of Boom Esports here lost to Impunity.
Yep, I really like the team coming through from the side of Impunity, only because they have pretty equal chase, and on top of that as well, dive, because you have Quarter 4 on this Celeste just able to poke from the back line, just laying down those stars, and the distance buff on her abilities and that of her basic attack is definitely very obvious in this current game. And then you have Blue City, and then of course that of a Fortress that can just dive in and really far back to just eliminate the carries really quickly. So very even team coming through from the side of Impunity, as long as they can play around the CCs coming through from Boom Esports. I think Impunity just looks very strong right now. The gold lead is obviously in their favor, 31.7 over to 27.2, and at this point in time, all the turrets are intact. Oh, I actually take that back. Boom Esports do not quite have lost 2 of the turrets actually.
Yeah, and they also lost like I would again say like the most important tier 1 turret, which is the mid, because you kind of leave your jungle more exposed if considering, or like other else you lose either top or bottom. Mid is for me again much more important, but much importantly is another kill into the bottom lane. Batiste was overwhelmed right there, and that'll give him the 3rd turret for the side of Impunity. Valeska and Alien were a little bit too late to the party, so they gotta be bounced out here by Impunity as they go for the exit out with the Treants once again going into the side of Impunity. So all the gold, all the objectives, all the turrets going into this blue side team.
Yeah, Boom Esports at this point in time don't really want to find a team fight just yet. They have, or that's rather, Goldwing's buff is on the side of Impunity, so they have the extra shielding and the recovering as well.
Wow, it's another fight gonna happen, and I'm just gonna say something later after this fight actually does end. Oh my goodness, Baby got saved right there from the intervention here of Valeska, but whoa, what are you doing, man? He goes down, but Blue City at least trying to get some damage into this mid tier 2. Went in a little bit too over-aggressive, and now he gets caught up with the Ardenane, and he's going to get blown up, son. But he does have a little bit of that sustain. Still has to go through, or rather, go through Alien, Pain, Sandy, and Valeska, and he won't be able to survive that one. And seems like from that, Impunity actually still tries to go aggressive. They have the Rona, they have this Koshka, able to get the tier 2, as well as that Idris. So even though they lost a little bit of their players, still the pressure is on.
Yep, we did mention it at the desk as well. You don't quite need kills to secure the objectives, because this is the MOBA after all. And the most important thing is just going for those objectives and ultimately ending out the game. Although we do see Impunity losing out in that 3v4, but at the end they actually managed to get a 3rd turret, or rather 4th turret of the game for themselves in that top lane, when everyone was just putting out all their firepower in that mid lane.
Yeah. Like something I just noticed here is, like, aside from the good rotations that come out from Impunity, the composition that they kind of built, if you look at their 2 core quote-unquote damage dealers, which is Coeur d'Ivoire and Blue City, they actually have, I think, Vainglory's longest range heroes being on the Celeste and the Baron, like maybe not having the Scarf, but still. So these, I think this just means that they have like a somewhat of a long range poke comp that could actually work against the side here of Silver Boom. Them having much shorter range heroes, if they're able to space out perfectly using the Fortress and Rona as well as the Koshka for the spacing, they're gonna be able to wreak some damage while not taking damage themselves. And that's actually something I don't know. I kind of wanted to just focus a little bit, because that may be a case, might be a a boundary that Silver Boom, or rather, sorry, Boom Esports has to deal with.
Yep, and another fight, a full-blown one this time, might just be coming out. And although you say long range, but they have, Fortress as a support, and Fortress in general just really want to dive in. And of course, they have the Rona with into the fray as well, and on top of that, as well as the Koshka. So the two back lines with the longest range in game can, on paper, kite safely from the back line.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're just gonna use like that Fortress plus the Rona to dive in the front, so that they have that distraction, which kind of makes it a little bit difficult maybe here for Boom Esports. But well, going back a little bit into this match, second Ghost Swing picked up here for Impunity. I have to again reiterate that second. They got the first one quite early, and now they're gonna use that buff to just overwhelm Boom Esports right here. Sorry for saying the other one. But anyways, double kill here for the side of Impunity, activates the pack attack, and Truffles once more. He sees his other four-legged friend. What is up? Arf arf! There you go. Just as like, when dogs see each other, just like woof.
I thought they sniff first, not
They can also bark at each other, I guess.
Well, I guess. I mean, hello is a thing as well. In XYZ going in, but we'll just back up because of the amount of damage coming through from Blue City on this Baron. And on top of that as well, Baron saw a buff in this particular game, or in 5v5, and that is that Iron Cannon is now a universal ultimate, means he can just land that anywhere. And although it might seem like it's not a big buff for Baron, but it can put on a lot of hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you can, you don't have to place, or you don't have to place yourself in a precarious situation to line up a good Iron Cannon. You can just like let your teammates do the work, and then you just follow through. But that was a sick use on the fearsome shade. Was it actually enough?
Who cares? Everything was deleted.
On base, everybody. I don't know if that actually helped Boom Esports here, or did it help Impunity in the end, but Blacklaw was just angry. Why did you go to...
Yeah, Blacklaw is now unleashed by Impunity, and Blacklaw coming onto the rise will be pushing down this mid lane, and this will definitely benefit the two range carries that we see on the side of Impunity. Oh, Idris?
Ooh, maybe Sunday is actually going a little bit over aggressive. My goodness. If Valeska did not use his intervention right there, it might have been curtains for, well, this Idris, but, well, lost some ability from DefQ, able to follow through, get the revenge kill, and look at this one, with the Blacklaw pushing, it's going to be Impunity to actually keep him alive for the meantime, as this Ringo is taking him down quite easily right here. If this Blacklaw can get that mid-tier 3, it's going to be definitely worth here for the side of Impunity. He uses the stuff there from Alien, so that's going to put this Rona in a very bad situation. He's gonna go get shut down, but once again, like I said, the Blacklaw is still smashing onto that mid-tier 3. Quadaball has joined in onto the mixture as well, as he's putting down all of the heliogenesis that he can. Ooh, he's just popping down the skillets. Can he go for it? No, he gets blown up, and now Truffles will have to say goodbye, good night, sweet prince.
Yep, and only Blue City and DefQ left on the fold. And in the previous game between Renegades, we saw Chingy on this Koshka was just so aggressive in this early game, whereas DefQ, yes, he was aggressive, but because of the amount of CCs coming through from the bottom lane, DefQ wasn't quite able to score as many kills, and on top of that, can't quite be as aggressive. And I like how the strategy change that came through from Impunity. They know they cannot be the aggressors in terms of going for those gangs, and instead they just go in for those turrets, thus putting them at a 10k gold lead at this point. And although the 10k gold lead might mean something in 3v3, it's not quite so in this 5v5. I've came back from a 10k gold lead before, so I kind of do know, but at this point in time, DefQ may just putting himself in a very dangerous position.
He will try to go aggressive into this one, because now it seems like they can rotate for him, but because of what DefQ is doing, look at the bottom side of the map right now. It's another Ghost Wing! Like, I mean, this is basically like Pokemon here for Impunity, you know? Every time the Ghost Wing appears, they gotta catch them all, man. And now they get themselves a third one. That's gonna give a big boost. And because the Blacklaw was able to get that mid-tier 3, the armory in the mid area is actually also exposed, so they can take that, weaken the Vein Crystal a little bit here, or use this buff to actually push on the lane, but that Scout Camp will spot them out. There's going to be an engagement right here. They're going aggressive. Nice use on the Fearsome Shade, but the... oh my goodness! That ultimate lineup from the Celeste, just a little bit too insane. And look at the cleanup crew. Blue City with the rockets, just AoE bombarding his opponent. And can that Grumtro actually take down Blue City? The answer to that will be no. The shield is going to be enough, and an ace taken here by Impunity.
Yep, that is an ace, and I do not want to say that this game was, predominantly, just in Impunity's favor, but from the looks of it, with that Ghost Wing constantly taken, and you say, another one basically is the third one. This Vein Crystal, I think it's still called a Vein Crystal? Yeah, it is still called a Vein Crystal, will be going down very, very quickly.
Oh my goodness, like that one ace was the greatest, or well, not really the greatest, but like already the final nail in the coffin here for Impunity, just to win out that duel against Silver Boom. So pretty crazy. Yeah. So what do you think, man?
Well, if you were to ask me, I think it is just Blue City just able to dominate in this bottom lane since second one, or when the lane minion kind of went in, which is 1 minute and 15 seconds, I believe, and Blue City just able to just go full glass cannon, and with that just able to put down so much damage and hurt.
Alright, so not sure if we're gonna pass it back to Mini, but I think we are. So, Mini and I request a duel, take it away.
Thank you, Azurai and Luxuria, for casting that match. Wow, really well played by Impunity. They managed to take down the Vein Crystal without losing any turrets. I'm feeling that this is going to be quite a common factor between the team that wins and the team that doesn't. Is just objectives. It's so easy for Impunity to push, but Boom Esports just couldn't seem to get anything out of that Hourglass duel.
Yeah, and really, it's one of these things, once again, once the base is broken, and especially once those armories are down, not only is the Vein Crystal more vulnerable, but those lanes just have that much more pressure in them, and it's, as you say, objectives, and it's really what's going to win the game. You could see there that they were actually able to get an ace for themselves as well at the end, and you mentioned before that an ace, if on the wrong side of the map, will mean nothing for you, literally. But at the right position, right time, you can really make some work out of it, close out a game off the back of it, and Impunity looking very strong in this first match.
Yeah, they definitely look to be close to Renegades in terms of objective control, as I was. They keep taking the dragons, keep capturing them as soon as they spawn at the right time. They know that the other team has to be clearing their waves, otherwise they're going to lose a turret. So that means it's a free dragon for you to take, get that buff, get the health regeneration, and once you take a fight with Ghostwing, you're probably going to win, as long as you fight together and you don't let yourself get caught out 1 versus 3 or 2 versus 4, something like that.
Yeah, so I think that is sometimes a problem for some teams. We've talked about it in prior weeks, and last week, the Ghostwing buff. You might get it, but it doesn't always mean you should go in for a team fight. You have an advantage, but you still need to respect that you're diving into you're playing a 5v5 map, and just by that small buff isn't really going to make you win the fight instantly. It still comes down to good positioning and being able to pick off key targets.
Yeah, I definitely think that that teams can get over-aggressive with Blacklaw, but we didn't see that with Impunity today. They played really well, and the kills before that ace at the end were really, really even. But as Luxury said, the gold lead, 10k in favour of Impunity. And actually, I think in 5v5, a gold lead is more impactful than in 3v3. Because if you get those couple of turrets, you can just take the objectives so much freer than the enemy team. Because if they try and contest you around the objectives, you can back and you're next to your turret within about 5 seconds. Whereas if they come and fight you, they have nothing to back to. So you can snowball a lot easier in 5v5 if you can get those turrets. Whereas in 3v3, the snowball happened if you could get jungle farm. So that's a really different playstyle that teams are going to have to change, and everyone's going to have to focus on, is that the jungle camps aren't as important. They're kind of rated lower than kills, and obviously they're way lower than turrets.
I agree with you partially on that statement, just because of how you said there is a lot more distance between the turrets if you lose them earlier, that you're just kind of out in the open and don't really have anything to back off to, so you need to be careful when roaming around. But that comes back to what I said of, as long as you have good map control, even if you are behind in turrets, as long as you're able to maintain that map control, you should be able to see when the enemy team is going for those important objectives, or wherever they are rotating on the map is even enough information to help win out team fights, because you can out-rotate the enemy. And that's why I believe I saw a lot of comments on last week's show matches that on the amount of vision we were seeing. And I think it's just such a crucial part, and hence why every player now should have their own vision, that every player does have their own vision to put down. I think that it makes so much sense for 5v5, and players need to utilize that, as well as clearing out enemy vision, I think is also quite important.
Yeah, one thing that we've seen a lot of focus on is around the A-side crystal tree, and there's a bush right next to it, and in almost all the games so far today, there's been 3, 4, maybe even 5 scout cams put down in that bush to try and clear the enemy vision, and the enemy does the same to you. And it's kind of a waste of vision, because if you just wait, let them put their scout cam in, come back later, put yours in and clear it, you've saved a lot of scout cams that you can put around the rest of the map, because generally scout cams are put in the middle of the map, around where the river is, to know when they're coming to your lanes, when they're trying to invade your jungle, and just when they're rotating up between the lanes. And so wasting so many cams just at that one choke point probably isn't worth it, especially if they can just be countered by a 300 gold flare loader.
Yeah, and that's why I said that you have to be very, I guess, smart with your vision, as well as using it at the right time, right places. And that goes to what you said of, don't just put it in a place where the enemy put that vision, just so you can take out that vision. Sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes if you know they have vision in there, well, that's good for you. You can ping it, tell your team, and it's also information that you know if you ever walk through that bush for the next few minutes, you will be spotted out, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to clear it. In fact, you can go put vision further up into a lot of these areas to make sure you don't get ganked, I think is quite important, because when I talked about rotations, I was meaning more into the late game. You want to be careful on that, but when it comes down to early game, for bot, top, mid, you just want to watch out for possible ganks. And as a jungler, you need to watch out for possible invades. Put that vision in your jungle entrances, especially if you're all the way across on the other side of the map. It's very hard to rotate back down there.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it might be an idea to just leave. If you see someone put a scout cam in a bush, don't spend your time and scout cams to try and put yours down and pop it, because if you put yours down, they then know that you've got a scout cam in there, so they'll just come and pop it later. It might be a better idea to just note that it's there. If you're on voice, tell your teammates, and so you know where they have vision, and obviously you know where you have vision. So that makes it a lot easier for you to control the map, because you know, okay, they've got like 3 scout cams in bot lane, which means they don't have a lot of vision around the jungle or around the mid lane. And so that could be really effective to, instead of just popping vision straight away, which is probably coming from 3v3, where you would always pop a scout cam if you can, because it's just walk over it and it gets popped. Whereas in 5v5, it's a lot more effort, a lot more expended to try and get rid of scout cams. So maybe just knowing it's there would be enough.
Yeah, it is that factor that you mentioned, the effort needed to take it down. It takes away from the time you could be doing other things. And as long as you know it's there, as long as you're aware of it, then technically you don't need to spot it out, because you've spotted it out in your mind, in a sense. But you talked about the 3v3 with scout traps, having you just be able to walk over them. A lot of the times they're B flared out, and a lot of the times, I know when I move around the 3v3, when I move around Halcyon Fold, I like to go to the corners of these bushes to make sure that the enemy hasn't put down any of the any vision in my jungle. And I think generally, because it's such a smaller map, it's easier to do. So it definitely is that thing that, although vision is important, you don't want to spend so much time on it, because at the end of the day, I think the most important factor I would pretty much call it the most important factor is that lane control.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was wondering what you think is the most important thing in 5, and I definitely agree. Minion waves being pushed is the shortest way to put it, because if they're pushed, yes, you might lose a couple of CS, but the enemy's going to be losing more. They're going to be taking turret damage, and you're always in a good position to have those waves pushed in 95% of circumstances. I think there is a case for freezing the lane, but that generally is to try and get a bigger wave so that you can push harder. You generally don't want to freeze the lane and let a big wave stack up on the enemy team, because that's just too dangerous to play against. Unless you've got someone like a Samuel or a Baron who can clear the wave very quickly, if they die, then it's a really dangerous position to put yourself in for not much reward. So I definitely think that it is smarter to make sure that instead of spending 5 basic attacks to take down a scout cam, you spend 5 basic attacks clearing the minion wave and putting a scout cam somewhere else, because it's such a ingrained skill to just pop scout traps in 3v3. Everyone did it all the time, that it is another thing that's going to be hard to get out of the habit of.
Yeah, and always making sure you only have 2. It might seem like, oh yeah, I've got 2, I can put them down whenever, but a lot of the time you'll be finding yourself with that scout trap, or not scout trap, scout cam on cooldown, and so when a big objective comes up, you might know the enemy's taking it, but you might not have the vision to put over the wall that you need to do. Which is quite necessary, but as long as your team manages it together, I think is important. But if you think about that, the team managing that vision at the end of the day is every single person individually managing that vision. So really, you want to just make sure you're on top of that as a player.
Yeah, it's one of the things where if you put one scout cam down, it gets immediately popped. You think, oh, that wasn't a great idea. Oh well. But then you put another one down, and you see the time at 110 seconds. Until that next scout cam is up, and you realise that that's a lot of time that you need to spend without vision, and it is very, very common that a team will be ahead. They'll think, right, now's a great time for us to take Ghostwing. All 5 members go to Ghostwing, and nobody has a scout cam, and so you don't know, is this Kestrel going to one-shot from the other side of the map? We don't know where she is. We can't body block the one-shot because there are so many different angles Kestrel could come from. And so it's one of those things where it kind of makes, if you don't have the scout cams ready to put down, it becomes a lot riskier to take those, take the objectives, because stealing it is really not too difficult.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen quite a few steals happen, and it's really, I think, the most crucial one, the one that you should be trying to steal, is Blackclaw. It has the most impact in terms of after taking the objective, because there are a lot of times that if you steal Ghostwing, you might be diving too deep into that objective just to take it, and then you go down afterwards. Yes, you denied them Ghostwing, but is it really worth it? Because a lot of the times the team that takes Ghostwing can also be the ones who are vulnerable after taking it, because they get put so low. But as long as you have, it comes back to the vision topic, as long as you have vision control, I think that leads to helping, it really assists the lane control that you need to have and winning the game eventually. So these are all just tactics that make up a bigger picture that I think is a lot less of that player's skill mechanic, that it comes down to more of the management around the map and just throughout the game.
Yeah, I think that stealing Ghostwing is a great idea if you get it and get away without taking any damage. Because if you don't take any damage, you keep that massive barrier and increased health regeneration. But once you get in combat, barriers reduce, you don't get any health regeneration, and so it's really important, especially to not die, because then it just became kind of pointless. Yes, you got a gold payout, but it just wasn't worth it for them to be able to be 4 versus 5 after they got the Ghostwing. And once you've stolen Blackclaw, it takes time. You can't start killing Blackclaw as soon as it's been unleashed. If you stole a Kraken away 1 versus 3, the enemy team could just take it down to half health before it even gets to lane, whereas Blackclaw flies up in the sky, no one can attack Blackclaw in the sky, and then will land at full health, and at that point the rest of your team can converge and try and push down, or split push some of the other lanes. So that's a really important reason why Blackclaw is a really nice objective to steal, because it takes time for it to go down mid lane before it will take any damage.
Yeah, Black Claw, really, I see a lot of the time just used for that pressure builder. Sometimes the teams won't even push alongside Black Claw. You'll see a lot of split pushing mechanics coming through. A lot of the teams decide to do that instead. But pushing with Black Claw, also, it's just the same as pushing with Kraken in the end, except for that fact that you can have your teammates in the other lanes, which we talked to Item and Fish when we had him on voice chat with us last week about will we ever see Black Claw in any other lane than mid, and at least to the answer he gave, he said it wasn't really something that worked out. Possibly it could happen in the future, but right now it is in the mid lane, and because of that, it's just a thing you have to play around on with the Sovereign's Rise map. That is just a factor in this map that you have to realize. The mid gets pressured so much more, and I think in a lot of 5v5 MOBAs that the mid, if you can break that down, really opens up to a lot of opportunities.
Yep, just win down mid, just push down mid and win the game through that. I think it makes sense for Blacklaw to push down mid because it means the defending has less distance to travel to defend their side lanes if they're being pushed. So I think it works well, especially at the start of the game when no one really knows what to do. Everyone will group to try and defend Blacklaw, and then, our side lane's being pushed, let me rotate to go and grab it. So that does make a lot of sense. So we are now loading into Sovereign's Rise for the final game of the show matches. And so we're going to bring in Azurai and Luxuria.
Alright, so we are back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Azurai. Here with me now, once again, is Luxuria.
Hello, and welcome back, everyone. Very good analysis coming through from the desk right there on Stilling and what have you not. And Boom Esports going in for the early aggression, trying to get that crystal buff, or rather the blue buff, from the side of Impunity. Trophy is just backing off right now, but let's talk quickly about this, particular movement and rotation coming out from Boom Esports. What do you personally think, Arthur? I'm sure you've played a couple of games of 5v5. Do you think this is a clever rotation to do? Because we do see now Impunity actually going in and clearing out the entire jungle of Boom Esports.
For me, I think this could go like one of two ways, because a 5, or at least let's say a mass rotate or a mass invade onto the jungle will allow you to, disrupt the, let's say, the route of your opposing jungler or opposing gankers, which means that they're gonna have, I guess, little time to actually go for much more for their time ganks, which I think is something that's gonna be a thing here in 5v5, and which is good because again you can try to disrupt their timing. But the other thing that kind of noticed here, which happened between Renegades and VAE Victis, is that if you actually allow your team to invade as a 5-man and you don't go back in time for your lanes, you're actually again giving too much XP for those solo lanes to actually just get more, and then once the opponent comes back to the lane, they're not in a good stance. So I think 5v5 the invade is good, but again, just like a TLDR, the invade is good, but you don't have to invade for too long, and you don't have to invade with everybody.
Yeah, but with this invade, we do see FQ just able to get all the jungles coming out from Boom Esports, and that is something that's, relatively peculiar to me as to why you would actually orchestrate such an invade if you lose so much more as compared to your opponent. Your opponent may just lose one jungle camp, and that is about it. I'm actually quite surprised though. I was thinking, in my head earlier on when the analysts were talking, that we might just see, CP Arden or Weapon Flicker. I mean, they are very strong in their own right, Especially CP Flicker. Weapon Flicker. You can just come out of the blue, and boom, you have the tension bow proc, and you just decimate someone. But we are not quite seeing it just as yet. But I really like the cruel pickup on the FQ. So much brushes, we mentioned it before, and there's just so much speed boost for this cruel.
Oh, there's gonna be a little bit of initiation here with Kalua, as well as Def Q, and like you said, there's a lot of initiations on the cruel, and Valencia's gonna be spotting him out though. He does have the movement speed, but he's gonna be in a hot place. Kalua, no usage on the afterburn there, might have been on cooldown. Yep, 8 seconds on it, so he won't be able to use that for a while. And kind of a thing. I'm kind of curious why the Cruel pick wasn't actually much more used in the game, because I think like for the Spectral Smite it might be good, but hold that thought, bottom lane though, Truffle is actually almost gonna be taken down, but he does get a fadeaway kill onto Kahlua. A little bit too overly hyped there, or overly zealous to get that kill, so he gets one of his own.
Yeah, and on top of that as well, we look over to top lane, and we are seeing something. I did not want to say the kill that went over to that of Arden, but initially, when I was casting this game, or rather when I was playing this game, I kept forgetting the fact that there is a true blue side, and that is our point of view at least, and that, you know, usually the top lane will be placed with only one hero, and then you have the bottom lane with just 2 heroes, right? So
Yeah.
so there you have it. Especially if you're on a true blue side, or rather on the right side. You know what? Okay, that's a little too messy for, you know, everyone right now, even including me. But the thing about this is that if you're on the lane with 2 other heroes, I would think that you want to play a little more passive as compared to going in for the aggression. And we did see the Alien XYZ actually had to pay for this early aggression going up against that of Arden and Blue City on this Vox.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, I guess, like 2 sides of the coin, where in a 2v1 setup would almost always win the matchup, but then there's like maybe situations wherein it won't. But I think that's gonna be down along the line, wherein when the Black Feather starts to get his items, that's when probably he can go for the v1. But for now, like you said, it's true that he has to go defensive, but I think at the same time, if he wants to keep his turret alive, he actually has to give up maybe his life and even a little bit of control in, or maybe even farm in this lane, just so that he can keep this turret alive. But that's, I don't know if that's like a good investment for him, or not. But look at this right now, 6 minutes into the game, and Alien has already lost his turret, so he kind of lost lots of more control for his team, which will mean that Impunity can just keep going at him from a longer distance, as well as getting control on his jungle. He goes down, and yeah, Vox just gets another kill.
Yep, and usually you put a Black Feather in the bottom lane as well, because with that, you know, you have the ease of farm. You have someone just accompanying you, babysitting you, and just able to rotate. And I quite like this Cruel pickup coming out from DevQ. And the only reason I say that is, although in the late game, I'm just afraid for this Cruel. In the late game, when 5 people just pounce on you, your Spectral Smite or your Smite itself will not be enough to just keep you alive. And that is something that I worry about for DevQ. But in this early game, when you're going for those targeted kills, when you're just going in and then killing one, picking off one hero, and then going on to the next invasion on top of that as well, it will definitely work out very, very well for you, because we now see DevQ actually going in very aggressive, clearing out the entire jungle of VAE Esports.
Yeah, not really allowing Kahlua here to get anything. I think if you look at the CS, Kahlua already has 9, but then, well, DevQ here has 15, which isn't really, you know, this is actually a pretty big deal. Ooh, Truffle's almost going down. DevQ here would have to be cannon fodder for these 2 rotating members of VAE Esports, but the damage has been done. They've already lost Niels on that pedal, and DevQ can actually get a kill here. Oh my goodness, that was very close right there. And just a question here, Lusuria. I haven't tested it out, but I was actually curious if this is a good thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cruel is a great objective taker, right? Or rather,
well, I guess he is. I mean, if you build very heavy weapon on him, he can take objectives pretty fast. But usually, even in 3v3, when you play a Cruel, you have this utility role at the end of the game, right? In late game, you generally just want to put down your stacks on someone so that person do not do as much damage. That is a 40% or 50% damage reduction. Actively for your teammate. So I guess that is what Impunity are trying to go for, but DevQ now is actually going for the aggressive game. You have the early sustain with your Smite, and of course you have Chase and a slow as well. And as we've talked about this many times now, that, you know, the slow or CCs in general, soft or hard in the 5v5 meta, it just proved to be so impactful, especially we see now, I mean, DevQ sitting on 17 CS, right? And that is not too shabby. But just look over at Glaive, that's 11, and you might think, but that's not quite a big CS difference. But now you have very slow jungle camps respawn timers, and so the 6 CS indifference will make a big. It is quite, substantial. Especially over across of the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, aside from all of that, like I totally. Actually, I didn't think about that. Like, since there are the longer cooldowns on the camps, it makes it much more difficult for junglers who are not able to invade or actually get camps on their own to actually fall behind and falter. But it seems like the Kroll actually dove in a little bit too deep there. Nice use on the ultimate from the Blast Tremor. We'll have to push back a little bit Impunity here, but it seems like their wrath will not be stopped right now. Look at Cordoba, how aggressive he is. He actually went for a flank maneuver right there as he wrapped around. 1-for-1 kill. Vox for the Glaive, and Blackfeather killed the Vox right there as Blackfeather will try to escape, but I don't think so. Mate, Alien, does he have a stack on his Rose Offensive? No! No chicken nuggets there, and it seems like Cordoba will shut him down. And will they actually go for a Ghost Wing? I think it's a bit too aggressive here. They do have the Jewel right there, but I don't think
They do have a Jewel, and on top of that as well, we do see a rather different build coming out from Quarterfall with this CP Ringo. I was just wondering why the basic attack's not doing as much damage as I thought it would. Then I saw that Aftershock and the chronograph and a crystal bit on him as well. And in this 5v5, it is quite fair to say that a lot of builds, when originally not being very effective, are looking out to be, substantially different in this particular meta because of how the rotations have changed, where you put your laners as well, and now that you have 3 laners, Jewel actually taking out Petal, well, I'm talking about that as well. So now that you have 3 laners, even if you are on the safe lane, just farming up for the late game, you have your mid and top just able to just put down a lot of pressure, and thus just making, your odd builds, which requires a lot of scaling, worthwhile.
Yeah, there's more lanes, more basically minions to be able to farm more turrets to actually get you the gold. So maybe these builds that don't work on 3v3 can actually shine and give a little bit more highlight here for these teams. DeathQ is just going in a bit too over aggressive right there and gets punished heavily for his mistakes. But check this out, ladies and gentlemen, as we are having a fight in the top lane as Cordoba, Truffles, as well as Blue Cities making a little bit of a hell here into the top side. Catherine gonna go down, one more shot, never mind, gets punished, but down below, Truffles is making all the work in the world with that Jewel, as Truffles won the Arden, will be able to escape. Already lost the Vox as well, as only the Vox? Oh yeah, actually, as Ringo still alive into the top 2v1 situation here, could actually take down Niels, but Kahlua shuts him down. Still, like I said, Jewel taking the bottom tier 3.
Yep, maybe someday, but not today. What DevQ have been doing really is just putting himself too far front. So much so that it's hurting the side of Impunity, but who cares? Let's look at Impunity. They are sitting at 40,000 gold as compared to 32,000. So Impunity's strat, this hard pushing, regardless of the amount of kills they have, it's just hard pushing strat is definitely working out. What DevQ really is doing is just starving out the side of Boom Esports, and of course he got killed like 3 times throughout the game. He has half the kills, he's been killed half the time, but even then he's doing a very good job, I must say. But at this point in time, when he gets later into the game, it is time to group up. You need to group up, you need to find objectives. If not, then at least find a target to single out, especially if you're a crew.
Yeah, 100%. And on the other side, I mean, like we were talking about a while ago, DevQ has been so good at giving so much advantage for the side of Impunity here in terms of like jungling, because Kahlua did not get anything out of it. So it kind of like puts him in a position wherein he has to farm, but at the same time he has to get the kills and objectives for his team, but he can't. But I mean, you gotta give props to Kahlua here, because all the 6 kills here for the side of Boom Esports, Kahlua has had a kill participation on it. He's already at 100% kill participation, but still with that, it's just like Impunity, all their other players are just winning the lanes. Like no one is like shining here for Boom Esports to like go for the split push. Even this Black Feather cannot push through. He's already finished up his Breaking Point and Serpent's Mask, but they think he's past that prime already when these two items can actually make something happen as a solo, Black Feather trying to push a lane.
Yep, and of course, Quatervo with the CP, Ringo will not be able to take this gold swing as fast, and thus Blue City is now here to help. But Vara may have just caught them out with that ultimate of us, Alien XYZ, coming in for the steal, but will not quite get it, and will be jumped on, pounced on by Impunity.
Wow, that pounce on was a little, well, won't actually get the result that they want to, but Alien was, I don't know, he was right there. I think he was hesitating either on getting to Court of Wall or Ghost Swing in that moment, or that second head of hesitation actually gave Court of Wall as well as Ghost Swing, Court of Wall to live, and then Ghost Swing to actually go into the hands of Impunity. So,
and as we are talking about that, we do see a sneaky take on that of Black Claw, and now Impunity has the Black Claw, and she will be pushing down this lane, and that is what Impunity is all about, right? Just going for objectives after next and not really giving the side of Boom Esports any breathing space when it comes down to the turrets.
Man, this Black Claw is just basically roasting alive Boom Esports right here. Again, we are on our second game, ladies and gentlemen. Final game of the night, and it seems like Boom Esports are having a hell of a tough time to actually bring it back against Impunity. They have to stack in as a 5-man unit here to stop this Black Claw, plus the other members of Impunity who have all the items in the world that they need, such as Blue City just going in aggressive, even a 2v1 against the Catherine and that Varya, still no dice for him. Alien will have to go down right there as Blue City shuts him down with the dash of the Vox, and Black Claw still going aggressive. Around 5 seconds before the glaive comes back, but I think it's just a little bit too late, and Impunity will take aggressively this Crystal Vein Crystal.
Wow, I mean, that, although not a flawless game coming out from Impunity, but I must say it is very respectfully a very good one to watch. They just needed one Black Claw. They held it on to 14 minutes. Jewel went to take that Black Claw, and with that one single push, because of how they have played in the early game, just able to take the game. 19 kills to 7 and 55.8k to 42.2. Impunity, definitely very impressive.
Yeah, they just played on a whole different spectrum there, and well, I think to break it down even further, we're gonna give it to our much handsome analyst desk. We're gonna give it to Minimiter, and I request a duel.
Thank you, Azurai and Luxuria, for casting that game. Impunity take the series quite convincingly 2-0, but it was not a flawless game. Boom Esports did manage to get a bot lane turret. Even though I say turrets are the most important thing to get, that maybe cost them the game, because after that, Vaya was killed and Ghostwing was captured, Black Claw was captured. But to be fair, Impunity was so far ahead that they could just take it because they had the vision control, they had the map control to take those objectives.
Yeah, I mean, there really wasn't too much to break down there. They played to the win conditions there in that match, and you could see, even especially when Jewel, while there's a fight breaking up in the top lane, Jewel was pushing down in the butt and managed to get that tier-free turret, which broke open the base, which not only meant once they had Black Claw in that base, that it was that much easier to break it all apart, because you saw as soon as Black Claw was in there, no one was actually pushing up right next to Black Claw. You could see a lot of focus being put on the top and bottom armory, because they knew they were going to get that mid armory due to Black Claw being there.
Yeah, because Jewel managed to split push the bot lane up to the base, that means that when Cruel was there kind of in a tough position, he could just attack the armory, and if they don't fight him, he's going to get that armory for free. So you need to fight, you need to go in on a weapon petal. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to be forced to fight against a Cruel, and so that made her get blown up by the Vox. And yeah, it was really well played. I think one thing to note is if you take down a turret and then die, that's generally worth it up until the really late stages of the game, when they can just get 2 dragons because they're 5v4. But what always would happen is Impunity would push the turret, they'd be very low, get the turret down, and then either take a fight or just try and get a trade 1-for-1. because if you die but manage to trade after you've got the turret, that is 100% worth it every time. And so that's what we saw them do so many times. Crawl, split push a lane, and then he got in a fight, which meant Jewel could split push a lane, and it was really smart plays to get so much out of a very little advantage.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And with that match, the last match of the night, we did see our first two matches of the day were Renegades going up against VAE Victis, and then obviously what you just witnessed being Impunity going up against Boom Esports. I cannot wait to see Impunity play off against Renegades, because I think that will definitely be a match to watch. It always has been with 3v3, but we're moving into new grounds here. We're going for 5v5, and it's going to be who can claim that title.
Yeah, Renegades did take the games a little bit quicker than Impunity, so maybe they'll say that that's why they're ahead. But yeah, certainly Renegades and Impunity seem to be the two top teams so far. We're looking forward to seeing how the rest of the VG8 are going to compete against these two top teams, because they're the teams to beat at the moment. There will be some more show matches next week, and so very excited to see who's going to be coming up to step up to the plate and who's going to try and defeat one of these top teams. It's going to be tough, but it's definitely possible. They've had week to see what they like to play, see what works, see what doesn't, and I'm sure there will be teams coming next week with an idea of how they're going to try and take the games.
Yep, so really excited for those. But as for tonight, great casting alongside yourself, Minimiter, Asarai, Luxuria, as always. And yeah, it's another exciting week of 5v5 has concluded, and we look forward to more.
Yep, so that is it for today. Thank you for watching at home. Thank you to the players. Fantastic games. See you next week.